Hey, welcome back everybody to another Closing Staff podcast. We got a special one for you today coming from the GameStop straight in Midgar. You know, you got one of your hosts today, it's Distro. Passing over to my other host.
Trade Hold over here.
And then we
got our special guest.
From last time, Field Destroy.
Woo! Woo, alright.
Yeah, we got a really fun episode today, you know, some post Final Fantasy 7 remake fun.
Mm-hmm. So this is a disclaimer, this is going to be major spoilers. All of us have already beaten the game.
And running through hard mode.
Yeah, tons of spoilers left and right. If you have not beaten it, you know, this is your time to deviate.
On top of that, if you've never played the original, this is going to be spoilers for that too. I mean, we did spoilers last time, but this is...
this is Spoilerville.
Because the thing is...
complete spoilers.
Anyone who listens to this or like sees, oh, this is a post-Final Fantasy 7 remake talk, so I just beat the game, but we're also going to talk about the original. So if you've never played the original also, and you don't know that far ahead of the story... spoilers on that too, so just letting you know.
Yeah, right. No, yeah.
Otherwise, will be refreshers for those who have played the previous ones. So.
Yeah. Well, they actually also said there's a Ultimania that was translated, Final Fantasy 7 remake that with the development interviews with the team, with like Nomura Tetsuya and Kitase and with Nojima and all that stuff, and that's actually very spoilers too. And the whole thing was translated by Itaiki Mochi, so we're gonna go through that too. Because it talks. Mochi. Yeah, no. Itaiki Mochi. I think that's how
Mochi.
I'm just thinking of food now.
Yeah, right.
I ate this morning. So did I. I had curry. What did you guys eat this morning? If you ate anything at all this morning?
Oh, I had a roast beef sandwich.
Roast beef sandwich.
Oh, yeah.
With the dip or like?
No, what do they call that? The French dip?
That's what I meant. Like French dip.
just your basic old American, just roast beef,
and
cheese and lettuce and
standard.
Standard.
It's fine. It's good.
Just trying to keep it nice and light. Nothing too heavy. That
sure.
too. And I haven't gone out into the wild to get food for for the clan. I need to go through and do my hunter and gathering.
We are drinking some Happy Lemon right now, though.
Oh, there you go.
I had Jack in the Box. I had no choice. Well, my Happy Lemon's gonna stay until later, maybe after the podcast.
Okay.
Because I have a soda right now. Gotta wake myself up with caffeine.
All right, Phil, destroy. What food did you destroy this morning?
I had tacos and curly fries. 3 tacos.
Tacos and not enough ranch.
Not enough ranch.
How many did they give you? 2 or 1?
2.
They gave her 2 ranch for 4 tacos, and it wasn't enough. Apparently, she uses 1 per taco.
Yeah. Pretty much. Well, because after I use 1 per taco, I use the rest for eat with the curly fries.
What's your ratio of
I don't
taco?
So I don't eat ranch.
But let's say if it was like the same size dip of your choice.
I usually do like those regular packets of hot sauce. I usually can just do like half a packet for 1 taco.
Really?
Usually that's enough sauce for me. I'm not a big sauce person though.
Who are you? Okay.
Who are you?
That's it. Like I mean, there's already like greasiness from the beef. And there's like cheese, so to me that's already like moist enough,
Yeah, right. That being said, that's a funny segue too, because even in the game, there is the sauce.
Oh yeah, the sauce.
The sauce.
Well, there's also one reason why I use the buttermilk a lot. It's because of, I'm sensitive to spice. You should know that by now, right? So
it's not naturally that spicy.
It has a kick, but it crosses it out for me.
Well, you practice martial arts, you should be able to retaliate kicks. Come on.
Right? Okay, but you see, she counters it with the ranch.
That's the counter with the ranch.
And that's the thing too. Don't you practice Aikido?
No.
Oh, is that just me? That's probably me.
You're probably thinking judo.
Oh yeah, judo. Well, see, that's good for like attacks too, retaliating against attacks. Come on now, Field Destroy.
That's completely this is martial arts compared to food, and food in my belly is a different story.
Hey, they're both arts.
No, one's culinary arts.
Go ahead. Okay, black hole. Shush.
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 All right, so going back on topic. I'll start it off. Just personally from my side, going in a little bit skeptical. Usually my thing is I'm very, very kind of whenever someone tells me it's gonna be really good, I'm almost kind of like, well, I'll see for myself. Whenever something's super hyped, I usually kind of like it, but maybe not so much as other people. I like this one. This one was pretty good. Like playing through this game, like I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Okay, so before I ask my next question, we'll ask Field Destroy. I think we already went into this in the last recording, But what was your thoughts going into it?
I mean, I was already excited for it because it was a flashback. One of, second favorite Final Fantasy game. Like, I had to. Mm-hmm. So once I started playing, including with the demo, I absolutely loved it, and I was cringing to play some more. So when I actually played it, I just didn't want to stop. I had to force myself to stop because, I mean, I have kids. Mm-hmm. And I had to play after work, so 3 hours of play. I didn't want to stop, so I'm like, but I'm finishing everything. Last week? The storyline last weekend. Nice. I absolutely loved it. Wish I can play more. I cannot wait for the next one. I hate it. Sorry.
Yeah, right? No,
sounds good.
I feel like once the ending starts coming up and you realize you're getting towards the end, you're like, oh man, I'm gonna have to wait for the next one for a little bit. Yeah. And I was like, oh man.
Right? That was like my thing. I was like, this is really the end. Like, I wanted to cry.
Yeah, right. What about you, Tradehold? What was your first impressions going in?
Well, so
expectations.
When they first announced it, remember E3 2015? I was actually there with my buddies, but including Funkoland, he was there as well. Mm-hmm. And when they announced it, we were pretty excited just for the announcement. So it was like, oh yeah, cool, But our biggest hype was Shenmue 3, because Final Fantasy 7 is not my favorite Final Fantasy. I'm like, okay, awesome, remake, sweet. Everyone's been waiting for it, so let's see what they do with it. My hype was, I would say, 4 out of 10. When I saw the demo, when they not even when I saw the demo, when they showed off the gameplay in E3, what was it, 2018 or 2019?
I think it was 18.
18, probably.
Because 19, it was that weird year where they didn't really show anything.
Was it?
I believe so.
I think they showed a little bit more.
A little bit?
Yeah.
Like the in-depth gameplay. I think actually...
Or
2019.
That was 2019?
Yeah. When they showed that in-depth gameplay, my hype shot up to 8.5.
Right.
Because...
And a half?
Well, because when I saw it, I was like, okay, and I've talked about this before, like, I saw how they set the whole thing up, where it's like, oh, you can't spam your attacks, so you can't hack and slash your way through it, you can't cheese your way through the game if you're, and I was like, it's such a good hybrid of turn-based and action that I was just like, dude, I'm super hyped for this now. I wasn't even that excited about it. Now I'm straight like, oh, first class edition, I'll get it. Like, I was that hyped for it, And so going into the actual game, I liked it way more than I thought I would. Like, this is a bold statement from me. So far of what, we've played of this part 1 in the saga, I like it more than an original.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. And, just my background with the original, I do like the original, but every time I go, like, most of the dungeons I go through, like, 70% of them, I'm just, this dungeon. I hate this dungeon.
Yeah, right?
A lot of them, it's like, going through the cavern,
this feels like they're making you eat your vegetables.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you have to go somewhere.
And
that means I have to go back through that when I replay it on the Switch. I finally got my Switch.
Okay, there we go. Nice.
So to download to replay the story, because I wanted to bring back my memory, because like half of the things in the game I just couldn't remember.
No, I know what you mean. That's how it is.
Or like
it
probably
games that you haven't played in a while.
Like it probably did happen, but I can't remember how exactly happened in the original.
Until you start talking to somebody and you're like, oh yeah.
I actually played the original, replayed it a year ago, so my memory is pretty fresh. I got so many friends, including Field Destroy, but some other friends too, that were just like, wait, did this happen in the original? I'm like, yeah, that did happen in the original. Was this character in the original? No, this character was not in the original. Stuff like that. Like, I had so much of that. Like, it sounded like I was a Final Fantasy 7 professional. I'm just like...
Yeah, I probably annoyed the hell out of Tradehold.
What was fun for me is the same thing as I was about to play it maybe about a year or two ago again, just to kind of prep myself for this one. But then I had so many other games. I told myself, you know what? I'm just gonna try not to, so I'm not burnt out on, these games before it comes out. So I can go into this one just fresh, clear headed. And then once I started playing it, I started, like you're saying, I started watching stuff and being like, oh, this isn't the old one. Or like, oh damn, this is like, like even like little scenes when they're sitting in the playground, like on top of the little freaking slide
oh
and
yeah,
shit.
that was a memorable.
I was just like, oh yeah, like that's totally in the fucking game. Like Like, just little stuff like that, it started coming back to me, and I'm just like, this is really cool.
I'm trying to remember parts that people asked me, like, whether they were in the original or not. Like, one of my friends, he asked, he's like, oh, Advent Children vibes. And I was like, for what? And he goes, Reunion. I'm like, that was in the original. And he goes, was it? I'm like, don't you remember all the Sephiroth clones? No? Like,
yeah, right, yeah.
When you go back to Nibelheim, or Niflheim, I forget what they...
It's Nibelheim,
Nibelheim.
Right?
Yeah, when you go back to Nibelheim, all the black, like, robe people... And
numbered
he's just
ones,
like,
yeah.
the numbered ones, and he was like, not ringing any bells. I'm like, okay,
You're like,
just know that was in the original.
That was my thing. I remember the black robe numbered here's, but I forgot that they were Sephiroth clones. So that was what I asked him. I was like, what? Oh yeah. When Trail told me, I was like, oh yeah. So they were the clones. I just remembered them, what their connection to. Felt stupid.
Yeah, and like Johnny was in the original, but Leslie and Kyrie are not. They actually are from the compilation, though. Mm-hmm. If you guys didn't know that.
You see, like when I saw Leslie too, I was like, I don't think I remember Leslie.
Yeah, Leslie, I don't remember.
He was one of those characters I wanted to ask, where I was just like, is he in the old ones? I was like, I don't really remember him at all.
Yeah. So I've never read it, but he's in part of one of the side story. So it's Kyrie. It's funny thing I actually wanted to mention. This is a little bit off topic. Kyrie, the fact that her name has a Y in it and it's Kyrie and not Kyrie, and that's fine for me. The only reason why I bring it up is because I've seen people read certain names with a Y and they always assume it's like an I sound.
Hey, if it was up to me, it'd be Kyrie, dude.
Then that'd be confused with like Kingdom Hearts
I mean,
too.
so many people can take it so many ways.
I was just like, oh, Miriel? Oh, Mirie. Okay. All right, Kyrie.
Well, that's French.
Kyrie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just reading all these names wrong.
Yeah, because I've seen that because people have compared it. It's like, well, it's pronounced pyro. And I'm like, yeah, but it's also pronounced pyramid. Like, so I'm just, that if the names don't exist, you can go with any which rule, because when it comes to Y's, the only basic rule is if it's a short word like cry, then it's pronounced with the I sound. Mm-hmm. If it's like with the EY and it's like a double consonant like many or funny, then it's E. But when it's actually in between words like that, there's no real rule. I just wanted to point that out.
And then you got I before E, except after C, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyways, off the ground.
Yeah, let's say. Moral of the story is the English language sucks.
Yeah,
right.
It's not even just the English language. They do that with any other any other language. If there's no real rule for it, and you haven't seen a name for it yet, then you can pronounce it any which way the writer chose to. That's all I really want to say.
I mean, they do that with any name, exactly.
Yeah,
because every country is different.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, I'm sure some countries will call it Fael destroy. So
yeah, right. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Destroy, nice.
No one will probably call it that. But anyways.
But yeah, I was right there with you as far as where the game really shined for me too is once I saw kind of like the gameplay a little bit, and then actually starting to play the gameplay. Like it's true, like you're saying, you can't really just start mashing buttons and expecting to just get through these fights. Like maybe in the beginning they're a little more forgiving, but then once it gets further in, it's kind of at some point you really have to think about what your timing, what you're
really
thinking about. Where's my ATBs at? Like where all this stuff's going. And what I thought it was really fun is like being able to utilize all the different characters and how they complemented each other.
Mm-hmm. They all were actually I felt
they balanced each other really well.
They were all very balanced. Yeah. Like because there were pros and cons to all of them when I was playing them, and it's funny because like Field Destroyer cannot play with Aerith.
No, I can't. I can't.
And I was just like, on my end, she's a powerhouse.
I thought she was OP as at some point. Yeah, like I was
some of my friends too were just like, because I had one friend who was in chapter 16 and he wanted to just knock out all the intel stuff, including like Bahamut, before he beat the game. And I told him, like, after you beat it, you have chapter select. He's like, no, I want to do it now. And so he had Barret. And he just had such a hard time with Bahamut.
Yeah, I can only imagine, man.
And like, so when he had Aerith, he's like, dude, Aerith is so OP when he was using her when it came to the arsenal. Mm-hmm. And it was like, dude, Aerith is so OP. I'm like, yeah, I know. But I think it also depends on your weapon build. Like, if you
it depends on your build and it depends on your playstyle, I feel, too, as well.
Yeah.
Because she's a little slow at first, and especially...
I'm not used to this.
You have to kind of get her going.
Yeah, Barret's slow, too, if you think about it.
Barret's slow, too. But the thing is, I think one of the things people really think why Aerith is slow, she's not really slow. It's her dodge is very slow.
Yeah, I'd say more so like getting her set up. Like, you have to get her ATBs up at certain points, if you want to use like the Ray or if you want to use any of the wards.
The Ray is awesome.
The Ray is awesome.
The Ray is two ATBs, though. So I can understand the building of it, but I don't think her ATB...
Yeah, that was hard.
I don't think her ATB builds up slow. It's just that most of the time you're going to use her for healing. And so you don't get a chance to use her other abilities.
Yeah.
But I think it's her dodge, because her dodge...
It's a twirl.
her dodge is short range.
Is it a dodge? Really?
It's short range. That's what it is.
Her little...
It's a little twirl.
Little
It is
twirl, which is like two-step.
Yeah.
Two-step
It's short
twirl.
range. I think that's what people make.
Unless you
people
throw
think it's
haste
slow.
on it.
I'm like, if you try to run away, just run. Don't do the dodge. I know you're used
Just
to doing
run.
the dodge
I think
with
I've
everybody
only-
else, but not with
I
Gareth.
found out running was
I
the
think
better way
dodging
to
only
go,
works
yeah.
for certain attacks. Like, you can run first until when that one little point where that little... I can't... No, I hate... No, what's that word for it? Just one of like certain attacks, like if right before they hit you, then you can hit the dodge.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't keep on, unlike Cloud and Tifa, where you dodge, you actually just roll away a lot farther.
Oh yeah, Tifa's dodge is awesome.
So
yeah.
it's more...
Yeah,
she's
Tifa,
more...
exactly.
It's like a backflip, basically.
That's
you know?
what I'm
She's
saying,
just
though,
like-
because Aerith seems slow because her dodge is the shortest.
Yeah.
And I feel like my pronunciation is really bad right now. Like, I sound like a fob. Like, I don't know what's going on. I was born in America,
Well,
so I don't know what's going on.
No, I'm just kidding.
It's my Asian Tourette's. It's crazy.
It comes out, once we start talking about Final Fantasy and start doing math.
I think it's just me. I think it's just me being excited, and
No,
I hate doing math. Although I do math all the time, I just hate doing it.
I hate math, too.
Yeah,
No.
We're
but
Asian, but I
you know
hate
what? Speaking of math, what do you rate the game out of 10?
You see, this is where I was like bouncing back and forth, because
If
there's
you're
certain
bouncing,
points.
if you're bouncing back and
there's-
forth, go in between.
Yeah, there's certain times where I felt like, there's things that stacked up that I didn't like, but then once I got to the end of the game, it was a little more like I was like, okay, for sure, I think I know exactly how I rate it. But then going back to do the platinum, and going to have to replay through the chapters and seeing certain things, I'm like, oh, So that being said, I would easily put it right now at a 9.
9. Okay.
Yeah, I'd put it at a 9.
Feel destroyed?
Just because how much I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was gonna be an 8. Because of some stuff. Maybe an 8.5. But like I said, once I started actually getting to the meat, of, all the stuff, I was like, okay, no, you're a good 9.
Well, I feel like I over it. For me personally, I would give it really like a 9.75.
9.75?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mainly because there was a few kinks that was annoying the crap out of me. Well, it was like a lot of camera issues.
Okay.
Yeah, because as you're playing, you're like, you can't see crap. You're like, and
By
then
the
there's
way,
parts of the
Destroy
story
is like
like
a pro because she went
and
through
no,
hard, like,
shut the hell up, trade hole.
super quick. Like
No.
she's already has 91% of the trophies, and she only started
With
hard
the
mode like
thanks
2
of
days
Trade
ago.
Hold's help, who already finished platinum.
Yeah, but I
So,
started hard
I'm
mode like
cheating.
way before she did.
So I'm cheating because of Trade Hold's help
Hey,
for hard mode.
you're kicking ass.
Like, no.
No, yeah.
No, you
That's
can
all
tell
that
on
extra
freaking that
kung fu.
simulator.
Yeah.
It took me like freaking 15 battles to finally get Bahamut.
Nice.
Bahamut
But-
that summons Ifrit to get to Malboro.
Mm-hmm.
No,
I
that's the
couldn't-
pride and
like-
joy.
Or Play and Joy. Like, I couldn't.
I couldn't.
I couldn't. I was so frustrated.
But you
She-
did.
I was
it.
using Aerith.
Yeah, she actually had to switch.
I switched to Barrett because another friend was telling me he was using Barrett. Well,
Mm-hmm.
Barrett, Tifa, Cloud. And I'm always used to using Cloud and Tifa consistently. Every now and then I'll use Barrett. And I was more used to playing with Barrett than I ever did with Aerith.
See,
So-
I feel like it's a good segue into getting into builds. But what did you say your rating was? You said it was
Mine
a good
is 9.25.
9.25.
Yeah.
Have we gone into why?
That's actually I was actually gonna
Yeah,
ask
he's
that.
a
Oh, go for it.
So,
Yeah, it's like-
well, for my reasons, 9.25. I was actually jumping between 9 and 9.5, so I'm just gonna go with 0.25. And the reason why there's a few reasons. I thought it was gonna be bigger than it was. It's perfect pacing. I
Yeah.
just thought it was gonna be more because they said that it was gonna take place all in Midgar.
Mhm.
I thought there was gonna be more to explore in Midgar than what we got. Now
Oh.
it's plenty to explore.
Yeah, no, it
There's
is.
the perfect amount to explore. It's just I thought it would be more. And another reason is low res textures. There's actually plenty of it. It's
I was
not.
about to bring that up at some point too.
It's not super noticeable. Some of them are super noticeable.
There's some times
yeah.
where I was just like, oh.
Few of them are like right in your face, like doors.
Yeah.
Like some doors are straight. Like okay, that's not even trying. Like, and there's some signs. But there are other ones where like it blends so well with the lighting that you don't tell. Most of them are like
It's
that.
the shading, yeah, 'cause there's
Yeah.
so many browns and like
Yeah.
all this stuff, yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, some of them are too noticeable that it takes you out of the immersion. Otherwise, they blend in fairly well. So like some of them I didn't even notice until I started looking straight at them. Like, oh, that's totally low res. But it didn't really bug me because if you're most of the time you're focusing straight ahead, which includes the characters, and so almost everything else blends, and it blends really well. Lighting is also really good at helping with that too.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's you with the keen eye who's usually knows for that thing.
No, I'm just like Trade Hold. There's sometimes like I like looking at all the stuff like in depth and kind of seeing like how well did they code this or how well did the art designers do the stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And like you said, there's certain doors I walked up and I was just like, oh, you know, or certain areas like let's say if you get high up, you know, and you can totally tell that they just like threw it in there hoping no one would notice.
I guess I base mine off of storyline and gameplay in general.
Well, no, we're getting because
I mean graphics I can't really see because one I'm like I'm using an older TV. Well, not really an older TV. Because I can see the difference between my husband's TV and mine, because his is 4K. You can see visuals. I can see it clearly, probably, if I put it on his TV, that, like, I'll probably notice those graphic differences. But with mine, I probably didn't. And not only that, I got distracted with my kids a lot.
It's, like, right next to each other, too, because of how they do things now. So
no choice. When you're in a small... Yeah. Personal affair. Whatever. But, I mean, in any case, it's like, I can't focus 100% because every now and then I'll hear fighting and my kids on a top bunk. So I'm like what? Maybe that sequence of that, I don't know, the door. I want to notice.
Like the graphics were great. It's just I feel like this is us just just kind of getting into the finer details of the stuff. You know? Yeah.
That's why it's not it's not chipping off
it's not
too
huge,
much of the score.
You know?
That's why mine is still 9.25. That's high, man. That's a lot. That's way higher than I thought I was gonna give it. Like
yeah, right. No, that's why I said that's why I give it a 9.2 because I realized a lot of my complaints was mainly me just complaining about small stuff.
Yeah.
Like that really basically doesn't ruin the game at all.
Yeah.
Doesn't change anything. Didn't it's just me just like maybe it was just my personal stuff, you know?
I mean, this is our personal ratings, so...
Yeah, right? So, you said, what else did you find a little bit, kind of like that brought your score down?
I know there was something else. There were probably a few other things. I just can't think of them
Before
right
I
now.
go into my rant here. So.
I know there's some things for me where there is some sections where it just felt so slow to me. Like, having to squeeze through parts, the whole in the beginning when you see Sephiroth. It's just like...
Yeah, it feels like you're just pushing through mud, right?
So you're just constantly dragging. I'm like, this takes too long.
See,
I can understand it
Field
being part
Destroyer
of
also lacks a lot of patience.
I do.
Like,
she's spamming the button, it does nothing.
Like,
she's like,
she's
up.
one of those. I'm just like,
her fingers
on I'm like, why are you so mad?
Her
it's not
fingers
going
clutching
that
the
slow.
sprint button,
it
but it
feels
doesn't
so
work.
slow to me. I had the adrenaline of enjoying the game, so I can't really help it. It's like, I want to know what goes on some more.
Yeah, right.
I was like, what's gonna happen next?
See, but I felt it. So, like, my main things were exactly to your point, too, Trade Hold. Like, I felt like Midgar was going to be a little bit more open to explore, you know, in certain areas. But, to your point, too, as well, I felt it kind of annoying to be in certain areas where it was just gray and brown. And then you're just squeezing through this corridor that doesn't even allow you to sprint sometimes. Like, you have to literally walk that.
Yeah.
Like you're pilgrimaging or something, like... Freaking, they force you, and I understand it. They're trying to get you to like feel like immerse and look around and stuff like that. But my thing is, at least give me the option as well to just be able to just run, just so I can get through it and stuff like that too. And it felt like it was just narrow corridor.
I think in that case they were probably just getting parts to load or
exactly. It was
and
like
making sure you don't trigger certain events
beforehand,
by going too
right?
quick. Yeah,
and it's like narrow corridor to like open area. And then from that open area to narrow corridor to like, to this next door to open area again. And the main thing is, it just felt like it took away from the immersion, like to your point too. Like some of the areas were open and they're really cool.
Yeah.
But it felt like I wasn't really necessarily exploring Midgar. I was just exploring the areas they wanted me to.
Yeah.
I felt like it should have been done for them to run through it, through your second playthrough and during hard mode.
Yeah, right?
I mean, it's fine to understand if your first playthrough, then sure, we'll do the slow Slayer for there. But once you reach hard mode, you can just sprint through that. That'd be more understanding.
Yeah, see.
And here's my thing too is that I actually was pretty surprised going through hard mode that they let you skip through a lot of things without even prompting you because it's like, oh, your save file already says you beat it, so
you don't
we're not
necessarily
gonna ask you this, we're not gonna show you this, you got all this, So I agree with that. I really think it was a more of a making sure you don't trigger certain events before they're supposed to happen type of thing.
There's that. Also for me too, as well, being a gamer and playing a lot of different games, not trying to flex or anything. But, you see a lot of the same puzzles in games. You see a lot of the same shit just kind of like recycled and done. It almost feels a little bit lazy to myself personally. But when I went back to go like just clean up some stuff for my trophies, and like do some certain stuff like necessarily Chapter 9, what pisses me off is like, what's the point of the little arm puzzle? What is, why does it take so long to do the arm puzzle?
So here's the thing.
Like,
the arm puzzle?
The arm puzzle.
Remember, like,
it's
super easy. It's super easy to complete.
Yeah.
Like you literally just pick up the container.
Pick up the container.
That arm puzzle.
And then you drop it down, and then Aerith says her funny little quippy line, and then she runs up the stairs, or the little freaking area, and then she drops the ladder.
Yeah.
And then it's like you go to this next area, and then it's just like this other really, really, really slow puzzle.
Okay.
You know, like, but you know,
it's funny you mentioned that, because to me, the first time I went through it, I was just like, oh my god, this is so slow. But when I actually went through it on hard mode, I went through it so quickly that I was just like, oh, you know, why does this go so much faster than I remember?
No, it totally does, and it's not that it goes slow. It just feels unnecessary. It's like, why not, you know, use that area for, let's say, another encounter or something like that, you know, or maybe like,
or just have
it, you know, be able to you go through, you know, because necessarily in the old one it was like you could see the arms, but they didn't really do anything. They were just there.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're like, no, let's make it into this cool little, you know, like puzzle that we can do.
Just so you can cross to the other side.
Just so you can cross to the other side. And then, like, I remember I think it was Barrett makes a funny joke, like, towards the end of, like, chapter 16 or something like that. He's just like, if I see another freaking ladder. You know, he's just like... Or who is it? Like, he's climbing up ladders. He's just like, if I have to go up another freaking ladder, like,
I remember that joke, but I don't remember whether it was chapter 16 or not. But I remember that. Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, dude. And then like you're sitting there most of the times, you have to hold triangle for freaking forever. You know, it's like, you see, this is me just sounding like I'm complaining about little things. That's why it's a 9 for me, because it's realistically, it's not anything that takes away from the game whatsoever. It's just my little gripes that I have, you know. Or even stuff like, you know, Tifa having to jump across these lights and it takes forever for her to even shimmy. She's just like. It's just like 15. It's just little things like that that I feel like.
Else anyways, going on top of the rooftop in chapter 2. It's just annoying.
It just feels like it was just unnecessary. You know what I mean? Like
5, 8,
like they're doing
9. Hey.
It almost feels like they're doing things that are taken away from, like, you know, you being able to, like you said, just explore, being able to just maybe not run through it, because we're not trying to run through it, but not feel like you're just pushing through this like snowstorm of like, now I have to shimmy across this ledge for hella long and going super super slow, or now I have to do this puzzle that's I can clearly see what I need to do, but it's going to take some time because these things move hella slow.
Honestly, the shimmying didn't bother me. You know what did bother me? It's climbing the or going past like.
Oh yeah, like
the iron bars. Yeah.
Oh,
because
it's slow.
Yeah, it's because of how the controls are in regards to the camera. Like sometimes I'm trying to get her to turn, and like she won't turn, or like when she does turn, she like moves back a step, and she doesn't turn where she needs to turn. And
you have to like turn the camera for her to turn the right way.
Right? It's stuff like that. I felt like most of the puzzles, you know, or most of like get from one area to the other, either it was switches, ladders, and platforms.
Now, I will say with the switches, some of them felt unnecessary to have the whole triangle thing.
So I'm saying, like, why didn't I feel like say,
you
at
just
some
push
point,
triangle.
Once they see that you've beaten it, you should be able to just triangle. Like, let's go. Like, triangle, let's go.
Rather than hold it consistently, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to, like,
I don't even think that
goes for the high five, and it takes 10 seconds before you're just like...
Well, I think for that was just trying to show that he's Cloud's hesitation.
His hesitation.
I understand that.
But, you know what I mean? I'm just sprinkling it on now.
Yeah.
You know? But some of the like it's just little stuff like that where it just felt like just kind of like come on, like use that time for these switches, ladders, and stuff, and give me something maybe a little more maybe not more immersive, but just keeps me more involved. You know what I mean? Because half those times I'm like eating or something, and I'm just like holding the stick, you know, over. I'm just like, you know what I mean? I'm not really like, you know, I'm looking, but I'm not. It doesn't feel like I'm playing, you know. But like that, all that aside, the actual content once you do get in there, like what brought it back up was when you do get to an encounter, you're just like, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
Like I'm finally able to fight something. I'm finally able to level up and get my stuff going, you know. Mm-hmm. But those are my main gripes right there too, as well, because it just felt like, you know, it was just a lot of stuff just made it so I couldn't really just play through it, you know.
Yeah.
And then going back and having to clean some stuff up, like even having to get that freaking music disc, you know, from like the Honeybee Inn. You know how much you have to go through before you get to the Honeybee Inn that I feel like was just like tedious?
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
You have to go through pretty much the whole chapter.
Yeah, you pretty much have to go through the whole chapter, yeah.
But you still have to anyways if you're a completionist. So.
Yeah, so exactly. So that's why I'm just like, there's stuff like that where I agree, they should allow you to just, you know, smash through it once you've already passed through it once time. But that's why
technically even that dance tutorial you can skip right away now.
Oh yeah,
But then you had to do it because you need that music disc.
Yeah, yeah, right. I was just like, you know what? I did the squats. I can dance. You know, like let's do it. So I was just like, I don't need no tutorial. And then later on, I was just like, fuck, I need the tutorial, huh?
That's to get you that song.
Yeah, but that's why I was mainly a 9, just from like little things like that. Gameplay was amazing, on point. You know, like I don't think there's ever a time where I was just like, this is really choppy, or this just doesn't work, or this just doesn't make sense. Like everything flows into like
smooth,
one
you know,
another.
one another. And it was pretty smooth actually.
On that point though, I just wanted to say that whole Honeybee Inn dancing sequence is so like awkward and weird, but also entertaining.
I just played it last night again. Oh my
god! Yeah, but then the thing is, so is the original scene in the Honeybee Inn, so it's okay. Like, yeah, right. Like I thought when I was watching, I was like, this is so weird to see Cloud dancing, even though it's entertaining. And then I thought, I'm like, well, how much more awkward is it if I saw the whole original Honeybee Inn like scenes in HD? I think I would rather see this dance scene now that I think about it.
You know what was great about the Honeybee Inn is like the little like drops they drop in there, like the teacher from the Leaf House, like
Miss Folio.
Miss Folio, she's in the back and she's a dancer, you know, like smoking a cigarette, like don't tell anybody. You know,
she was smoking, was she?
Yeah, she was smoking.
Oh, I don't remember if she was smoking.
She
I
doesn't
think
puff it, but she's holding it. She's just like sitting there. Like,
I think I ran across her like twice. Like the first time I saw her, she wasn't holding it. Second time I ran across, like I went back there again, and I was like, okay. And then that's when she actually talked to me. Because when I think they tried talking to her first, all she did was like, you know.
Yeah, right. Just like
yeah. But when you talk to her a second time, that's when she was holding.
They have like, they're really good at doing all these little like changes too, depending on what you do. Like if you ever go and talk to her when you have the VIP card, she'll actually comment on it. She'll actually say, oh, that belongs to like a customer that I know very well. And he's a really cool person. Can you return that to him, please?
Oh, nice. Yeah, he's that freaking the old dude. Man. I love when you see him later and he's in there, he's just giggling. He's like, and you're just like, you creep.
Why is it's like a no surprise, though.
My last comment on that was, besides the dance being ridiculous, that soundtrack, though, that song that they had him dance to, that was on point. You know, yeah. I feel like the whole soundtrack was really, really good.
Oh yeah,
you know?
So like you know, if there was anything that affected my nostalgia, because I've seen a lot of people talk about this. They say that does this game story really hold up, like in this time of era when you have competing games like The Last of Us and you know Uncharted 4, and I'm just like, well, there's a lot of people who've playing it for the first time who love it, you know, and I'm like this. It's I think there's an anti-bias where it's like you know the original game. And so you're trying to completely remove all your bias, and now you're just doing the opposite of criticizing it, like hardcore. And I'm just like, no, I think the story still very much holds up. I think now you're just having an anti-bias like goggles on, you know.
I've had a few friends who were telling me.
That's true. Because like you can't compare them too specifically. Just like you said, just the way the storytelling is. Yeah. Because like a turn-based RPG compared to like what they made it now, it's gonna be completely different. But the remake was so beautifully written. Like, if I felt like just sitting there, like, and as a person that tries to write stories himself, like you know, I was sitting there and everything just kind of rhymed. Everything just kind of like hit one after another to where you're just like, oh man, like this is really getting into the feels right here, you know. So it's hard to compare. Like where you're saying, does it hold up? It's like it's almost like
now you know I've mentioned it before that I'm not like the first one is not even my favorite for Final Fantasy. Story wise, I thought it felt so different that there was no nostalgia for me. That oh man, you know, like I really can't wait for this next part or anything like that. Other than like the Honeybee Inn, that was really cross-dressing Cloud. Let's admit it. Like 90% of the people that play wanted to see cross-dressing Cloud. They don't even care about the story. They just want to see cross-dressing Cloud.
As soon as he walked out, you know,
it's like how many cosplays you're gonna see now because of that.
But I was gonna say that what really played with my nostalgia though was the soundtrack, for sure, because this is gonna be real controversy thing I'm saying right now. I am not that big of a fan of Nobuo Uematsu's music, and in the original soundtrack, there almost every Final Fantasy that he works on, there's maybe 10 standout tracks to me, and I actually probably prefer more Yoko Shimomura. And like Final Fantasy 15 is my favorite soundtrack from Final Fantasy. Any Final Fantasy, I love Final Fantasy 15 soundtrack. But this one was more like, oh man, I remember this track. Oh, this remix is dope. Like, exactly. Like so that was really the only thing I felt played with my nostalgia was the music.
That's true. Yeah, there's certain times where I found myself kind of like, you know, it's like, oh, this is the old song. Like, yeah.
And like this, like, here's a variation like of this same song. Oh, sweet, right? You know. But you know what? Before we get too far into it. We didn't get Field Destroy's perspective of why she gave it her score. that score.
Oh, that's true,
but
too.
then she
Well,
gave
like
a 9.75, so it's probably not much.
Well, it generally is like either 9.5, 9.75. Is the
But what would make it a 9.5? Like, if you're really trying to critique it.
If I were to critique it, it was probably some certain parts of the gameplay. It's what I already mentioned in between.
Too slow.
Guys' some parts were too slow. Some parts were actually very linear compared to what the original was, which kind of reminds you of like how Final Fantasy 13 was.
Not to that extent.
It's not to that extent.
I
but
actually
it just
did want to bring that up anyways.
it kind of gave you there was like just little, like maybe a like a 2-minute sequence right here where it just felt like it was that.
Yeah.
And it was just like, you know,
Man.
that moment. It's just kind of
Final Fantasy 13. Oh my god. That's
and then,
like when
we had
people
this
called
conversation before.
Yeah, when people call it the hallway simulator, that's very apt. Like,
Because 13 was completely straight.
yeah, like it wasn't. You didn't do side quests until what, chapter
11.
13? Was it 11?
11.
Or maybe it was 12 or 13.
It was 11.
Was it? Okay. Well, it wasn't the last chapter was 13, wasn't it? So
Yeah,
I thought it was 12 or 11. Okay, I thought it was 12. Because it was when you became open world and then suddenly you had like 60 side quests and you're just like, this ruins my pacing.
Yeah, it was going straight on you.
Like seven did it right because it was just like, you know, side quests in chapter 3, side quests in chapter
was like 8? 9?
8.
8
It was
and
8.
9?
9 had like 2, but it varies depending on which quest you did. And then side quests in chapter 14, you know, and I'm like, that's great pacing. 13 did not give you any choice except for chapter 11 or 12, whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
And then too, I thought there was going to be a little bit like the side quest kind of guy I am. I like completing everything. Once I got the complete all quests, I was just like, oh, okay.
yeah.
For sure, that's nice. You know, like, so, yeah, it's good pacing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was, yeah. But, I mean, what, like, even Final Fantasy 13, like, I know some people compare it too because is it as linear as 13? I'm like, no, because
not even.
13, when you're trying to look for a piece of treasure to open, how linear it is. This is how linear 13 is. You go off, branching off from the trail you're on, and you walk 5 steps, and there it is, and you're back. Like,
Pretty much.
It's that linear. You do not go off trail very often at all. And if you do, you don't go very far.
Yeah, and each map has a pretty big map, even though some of them are like straight. But there's just some parts, like I said in mine, that just felt like it was straight. Maybe for that little 2-minute sequence, which kind of bugged me. But then I mean, that was just like a little small kink.
Yeah.
Other parts was like there's some things when you're walking through, there's just the camera angle, which is just awkward. Like you can't get out of it sometimes.
See,
Like
I agree. That's one thing I forgot to say too. Yeah, camera angles to your point.
there was some parts like camera. I was like, why? It's like I can't see anything.
They force you in that perspective, yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, ugh.
even certain times, like especially like when you're fighting the arsenal, or even if you're fighting like the freaking house, dude. You know,
The
yeah,
Hell
certain
House.
times where I was just like, yeah, the camera was just caught in that one spot where I'm just like, where's Aerith?
You can't
like,
see anything.
Yeah, and she's just getting destroyed. You know, I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, and when I got trapped last night during the Hell House at one point, where and during hard mode, there was just like one little like square entry, like where you enter and
yeah,
exit,
I know what
right?
you're talking about, yeah.
For some odd reason, I got pushed there as Cloud, and I couldn't get out of it,
Yeah.
and they just kept on pushing me back in. I'm like, what the heck? And I can't even change my screen to figure out how to get the hell out of there.
Was Aerith dead?
Aerith was trying to fend off the other.
She was taking a break.
And having her heal Cloud. So I'm like trying to get...
Oh man.
it was just annoying.
So one thing I wanted to ask you guys too is you've gotten into hard mode a little bit. As far as like the combat goes, maybe not so much like to your point. It felt a little bit linear here and there, but at some point too in the beginning, I don't know if it was just because I'm coming off playing Kakarot, which is a command-based game as well, where it's like you're fighting tons of enemies at the same time. Maybe not the same battle system, but something similar where you're building up a gauge and then you know using your attacks. You can switch between a party of 3 people. So I'm like, okay, no, for sure, I can fight all these things, right? I felt like I was just smashing through stuff in the beginning, you know, just getting through there. It wasn't until, like, maybe towards the end, like, when you fight Rude, you know, like, on the platform at the top, where I was just like, okay, now it's starting to get a little more...
Chapter 12.
Yeah, like, chapter 12 or 13, that's when I felt like it finally started ramping up, you know, and, like, started getting in there. And to your point, too, chapter 17, I didn't have that much trouble with it, to be completely honest with you. I think I only died once during the Arsenal, like... Because I think it just slammed me into the wall, like out of nowhere.
Actually, my second death in the whole game was chapter 17, and it was the freaking sledge worms. I hate that thing.
Dude,
I hate that thing with a passion. Whoever invented that thing just break a leg, literally break a leg. Yeah. Like, break a leg so you can't teleport like that thing does. Like,
You see, because I think
you douchebag, whoever does that.
So to your point too, I didn't die until like pretty far into the game too, and I didn't buy any items unless it was on sale. And I didn't really use them.
Yeah, I literally only bought items when they're on sale, and I really did not use them.
I just look at it, I'll be like, oh, that's a good deal. Hold on.
In all honest, well, you know what? I did use a lot of items at the beginning, which is saying something because I normally in most RPG games I play, in almost every RPG game I play, I never use items. I'm so cheap that in game that I don't use items most of the time because I'm just like, maybe I can use it later. And then I end the game with like 70 elixirs and
because
like maybe what if I use it on the ending boss fight and I don't. But
yeah, right. Because I was sitting there and I was stockpiling on stuff, and it wasn't until like later on where I was actually starting to use items and stuff. Because I feel like once you slot your materia correctly, or not correctly, but to your liking, like to your playstyle, like the fights actually go pretty good. But on hard mode, does it feel like those basic like fights are now feeling like you're getting your ass whooped? Is it going to be like
they do get pretty difficult unless you did the VR simulator that me and Field Destroy did before we started hard mode, in which you get this accessory to where you walk into every battle with the limit break.
Okay, that's pretty legit. Yeah, because at that point
it made hard mode definitely more like easier. That's why I was able to jump.
Yeah, because the thing is with hard mode, have you started hard mode yet? I assume
no,
you
I still haven't just yet. This is my next endeavor is going right into hard mode.
So the way hard mode works is there is no item uses, and that's expected. But the big thing about hard mode that makes it difficult is your MP usage, because there's no other way to heal your MP except for breaking.
Benches don't do anything.
Yeah, benches don't do anything. You don't have no items, so the only way to get MP is regeneration.
Or regen
during fight or breaking the boxes.
Yeah, when that popped up, I was like, ooh, that sounds fun. That's why I wanted to ask you guys, like, how is that playthrough compared to, let's say, like the first playthrough? Like?
So even if you have the limit break thing, going to certain battles or like boss battles even can be pretty difficult. Like, you can't go in hoping that you could beat the Sentinel Scorpion with the limit break.
Yeah, right.
You still have plenty left to go if you just use your limit break. So
see, well, my main question is it more annoying or is it still fun?
It's still fun.
Because I felt like at first, like, it was like, yeah, I'm just smashing through these ones, but I'm a fan of having to sit there and really have to like get into the strategy.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, oh crap, like to your guys' point, like I only have this much MP left, like what am I gonna do?
You literally have to strategize more of your MP usage.
Or like, I should have used Aerith more, or like I should have, been focusing this more, or like.
For instance, with how I play, usually because I'm controlling Cloud most of the time, Cloud already has higher MP than like Tifa and Barret, for example. So his MP rarely goes down, but when I rely solely on Tifa and Barret to heal, since I'm doing so much of attacking with with Cloud, that their MP starts to get low, and I'm just like, how do I get their MP back? So I actually have to start strategizing and going, okay, I have to switch characters more often and heal with Cloud, because he gets his MP back way faster than these two do.
Cloud was my healer for a good time too. Just having him just all full health back,
so
but like
going through hard mode, I really had to learn switching characters too, so that I can use Cloud's MP more often.
Okay, there we go.
Even when it was like all the previous ones, I always used Cloud's MP even before. So it just kind of helps. And then
I use his more usually for offensive, not so much for healing. For me,
you see,
prayer helps now for all three of them, so I've been using that more.
Oh, that's true too. You see, now this is a good segue into like the builds. What was? Let's go straight into Field Destroy. What was your go-to team, and like what did you like using? Like if you were going into a fight, and let's say weaknesses aside, like it had no weaknesses specifically. Like what's your go-to that you like?
Real quick, get a soda. Go ahead.
Right.
Well, the general team I always used was like, even if the original, I've always used Tifa, Cloud, and Barret. It's like it was just my thing, and it feels like it was the same here too, because and I was able to controlling them three felt so much more easier to me than Aerith.
Okay, there you go.
So like I don't know why, it's just like I felt like, because I'm also I'm very aggressive, and I know I always want to have like hard hitting characters more, even though I know that I guess maybe my build for Aerith wasn't that great, where she's over OP. But as maybe controlling her too also has something to do with, because I always had her focusing on healing rather than attacking. Yeah. So I don't know. But I felt like if I had those three, then I was able to get all three of them to be more of a healer of each other rather than just one designated person.
And then
I had to say that you don't have to build her up too high to make her feel OP. Like, I didn't know how OP she was until I swapped to her. the build's like, okay, magic attack because all her attacks are magic.
Yeah.
So when I was doing, her weapon mods, I was like, okay, magic attack plus this. Okay, let's unlock that. And I just didn't realize until I actually switched to play with her how hard she freaking hits.
Yeah, she hits pretty hard
yeah.
too.
And she is your only magical attacker, so yeah.
But
Yeah,
she's
right?
also the first to die. Well, for me, it always seems like
like,
she was
not
the first
for
to
me.
I was like, not for me. Well,
Tifa
but-
was also somehow first to die too.
I'm like, yeah, based on when I listen to Field Destroyer playing, all I hear is Tifa dying.
Nice.
But she was also one of my
here's
hardest hitters.
Tifa screams of pain. But what were you like? What equipment were you using on him? Like if you're saying like, cause who's
During hard mode or during...
I'm saying just in general. Like, what do you like using? Buster Sword on Cloud, always. Are you kind
No,
of? Like,
I've always used whatever's
whatever's
had
the
them-
whatever's the highest.
whatever's
the
yeah,
lowest.
less. And right now I'm using all of them. They've been using their final weapons during hard mode. So
Okay, there we go. And then what's your favorite material to use?
That's a tough one.
If you could have one material slot and you could just, just stick it in there.
good question. I have no idea.
You have no idea.
I know
No,
what
'cause-
mine is.
Was I the only one? What I appreciate about this game too is the little aesthetic things. Like if you change where your material is in the menu, it changes where it is on the actual weapon.
Oh
So,
yeah,
like,
like saying you want to reslot your material. That's actually good.
There'd be times where I'd be like, oh yeah, and I make like a pattern where I'm just like, yeah, no, purple on top, green on the bottom, and then like it makes it because like it'd make my like weapons look cooler.
Yeah,
because like you can kind of like it threw a little flair in there that I really liked.
But like a favorite material? I
Yeah,
can't
favorite
really have a
material.
favorite.
I know,
Yeah.
I know one.
What's
First Strike.
First Strike?
That's like a definite on my on Cloud for me.
Yeah, there you go.
Actually,
No,
yeah,
yeah.
I
I
can
have First Strike
understand
on
now
Cloud
because
too, yeah.
of I didn't
Like-
think about it as much until I realized I was like, oh, this actually helps.
Because
so, yeah,
like when
actually
I,
like First Strike.
because I honestly even going through hard mode, I was still leveling up materia, and that was more my priority than setting the right materia. Like,
Yeah, right.
After I beat hard mode this morning, I platinumed the game, and
Nice.
I probably will go through normal some other time, and this time I'm gonna actually optimal set up my materia, but I wasn't through hard mode most of the time. I did sometimes.
Yeah, because that was like my main
But-
question, like your optimum like
Yeah,
build.
but one materia that I always kept on Cloud was First Strike. That's just one that I did not take away because it starts off with either one or two full ATBs like charges. So
I understand. Yeah, that'd be so much. It was so much more easier with it.
Yeah, right.
so
I
I
say
can see that.
First Strike, or what was the other one too? Is the auto heal essentially where you
Auto cure?
have like
Auto
auto
cure?
cure? Yeah,
I actually
really liked
rarely
auto cure.
put that on. I did put it
I
on
had
a
it
few
on,
times,
but I don't think I ever paid
but I
attention.
rarely
I had
put
it on Aerith.
Yeah.
And she was just like, and she
That's
would
what-
just shoot it off real quick,
Yeah.
and it was great.
So I've put on Aerith and Barrett before, but it's not something I keep on. Let's just say it's a good one though. It definitely. If
right.
I was playing like I should, then yes, I would slot it on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one that I realized that I didn't have on for the longest time, but then as soon as I took it off, I was just like, oh fuck, and I threw it right back on. Yeah, because like sometimes there's those few like quick heals that just come through clutch.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Out of nowhere, I was just like, oh, where did this HP come from out of nowhere? I was like, oh, yeah. Like, I thought I was screwed there for a second.
Yeah, actually, there's a few times where that happened with me too. I think when I first used it was more near end game normal playthrough, so that was pretty helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, right? No, it's pretty fun. Yeah, as far as like with me too, I would mainly use Cloud, I'd say Tifa, and then probably Aerith. Because the main thing with Aerith, with her, I'd use her Arcane Ward a lot. So then I'd throw so like right off the bat, I would throw the Arcane Ward down, and then make sure if she was surrounded by a lot of
Dude.
stuff, you can throw two Sorcerer Storms down at the same time. So you go
yeah.
bam,
No, dude.
and you go bam again, and then
Dude.
like at some point, like anything that's in that area that has any kind of like oh man, the stagger on it, it's just like it's crazy.
Yeah, no, Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith were my go-to team. Like freaking Aerith's ATB ward. Do you ever use that?
Oh, the ATB ward, yeah, too. I like the
Hell
ATB ward
yeah.
as well, yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
Because what I would do is I throw the ATB ward down. At some point, what was the freaking towards like Chapter 17? It was the fight with like the tentacles popping out of the ground. Like,
you mean
excuse my language,
Genova Dreamweaver?
Yeah, that one. Freaking, I was sitting there, right? I throw the ATB ward down, and I had freaking Tifa just throwing, what was it, a Star Striker down like no one's business, dude. Just going, and you just keep doing that over and over and over again. And
Like,
as
dude,
soon as
if
like,
you use,
I don't know if you're lucky.
oh man.
if you use like, I mean all of them really.
Yeah, the ray. If you actually get lucky enough to where you have two ATBs full on, you sit there and you just shoot the ray out.
The ray
And
of
the
judgment
ray
is
just
freaking
like-
hard, dude.
Hard to use, but I loved using that actually.
No, not hard to use. I mean, like it hits hard.
Yeah,
like,
it's like
Well, no, hard for me to
the Death
get
Star
first
grade,
because
dude.
Aerith is always usually
You know.
healing first before I
Yeah.
get a chance for her to use the ATB.
Like, so many of her abilities are so good. Like,
Yeah, they're really good. Yeah.
like I actually learned how to use her lustrous shield.
You see, I tried. Whenever I tried using that, I feel like I didn't do crap because I was using it wrong, probably.
Oh.
You know, I'm just
I was like, dude, I used it against Arsenal. Super helpful against Arsenal.
dude,
I used
Arsenal
it,
was whooping my ass, and I got shield up.
and then if you, oh really?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like sitting there, Barrett's all of a sudden, Barrett's unconscious. I'm like, oh, without the shield. You
Well,
know?
yeah, well, how did you use it? Because I would hide behind
Mm-hmm.
something, and then I'll go off to the side of that and put up the illustrious shield, so it's like extra range,
Okay.
extra hiding.
No, there
And
we
that's
go.
how it helped me because usually because of the barrier stuff that
Mm-hmm.
that Arsenal has, it's usually just peeking out just a little bit that you can stand off to the side of whatever pillar.
Yeah, I just used all those pillars and rocks to like,
Yeah.
you know, as much as I could until
So
they were all
like
destroyed.
with Aerith, I actually would just go stand off to the side, put up a illustrious shield. That way you can peek out on the side and still hit all the little shield generators.
See, I realized
Those are annoying.
Lustrous Shield was just taken away from her DPS at some point for me, so I was just like, no,
Well,
I need to like.
And then another thing I found, like, because stuff like the sledge worm, when it like shoots a thing along the ground, that blocks that too. That's
Really?
yeah.
Okay.
And if you like when you go through the combat simulator later on, and you fight Tonberry, if you switch to any long range, this is both Barrett and Aerith, then he shoots a thing called Scourge.
Oh yeah, that
and it,
freaking
like,
just
traps
knocks you out. Yeah.
Yeah, it traps you. And so if you have Aerith and you put up the lustrous shield, it doesn't go past that either.
On a side note, like I was playing super late at night, and I was like to my point, I was smashing through it. I think one of my only deaths was Tonberry, because I went in thinking like, you know what, I'm just gonna and unconscious. I was like, what? Looks over, little shank, unconscious. I was like, oh, hold on, like, and I hadn't healed beforehand, you know. Yeah, so I was like, oh damn, you know, I'm sitting there trying to get. He's just moving so slow, just like.
Yeah, that's
You know,
Tonberry
yeah.
for you.
You know, yeah. Oh,
Jeez,
man.
even like the simple clone ones from some of the other ones.
Oh yeah,
Still
against
get you.
Fat Chocobo.
Fat
Yeah.
Chocobo.
Oh, no,
and the hard
and,
mode.
and Hell House.
Fat
Hard mode
Chocobo
Hummel.
is life, by the way. Yeah, no, I love Fat Chocobo. Like when I
You
saw
know-
Fat Chocobo, I was like, I want one. You know?
You know what about Fat Chocobo? He's super easy, but if you were like me, because like near the end, when I was going through hard mode, I was like, you know what? I'm only 10 away from the enemy assess stuff, so I'll assess the rest of the enemies I'm missing. One of that was Cactuar, and Cactuar very rarely shows up when you're fighting Fat Chocobo, and Fat Chocobo is one of those bosses that he gets more annoying the longer you let him live.
Oh yeah, because there's more
Even
things,
though- even
more
though
things on the map.
Yeah,
And like,
so
yeah.
even though he's really easy, if you're trying to get Cactuar, and the thing is, Cactuar, like once it pops up, it runs to the edge of the screen. Once it runs to the edge of the screen, it disappears. Whether you defeat it or not doesn't matter. It disappears. So trying to assess that thing, trying to get it to pop up and then assess, make Fat Chocobo such an annoying fight.
I feel like Fat Chocobo is annoying for a lot of reasons. Yeah, you know, yeah.
And I was just like, now I'm really not liking this fight. Even though if I was going in this regularly, I would be done with this in a minute. Like,
Yeah, right? Oh man, but yeah, just back to the point too.
Yeah.
It's just like Aerith very strong.
yeah.
You know, but it depends. Like, yeah, to your point, exactly how you're using her. If you're either healing, but to me, I was just like, yeah, I was using her to set everybody else up.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, once I go to Aerith and get like my wards down and everything too, and get kind of like the focus away from a lot of characters, I can go in with Cloud and start cleaning up. And then at some point, if Cloud's taking a lot of damage, then Tifa's there, you know, for like the cleanup.
I mean, all the characters were so, like, when you do the solo battles, you realize how the strengths and weaknesses. Like,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
When I was doing the solo battles for, I think, the rank 4 battles, I think they were they rank 4 or rank 5? I think they were rank 4.
Should be 4.
Cloud was actually the hardest one for me to finish, whereas everybody else, like when I did Tifa, because she's good with the short range stuff and building stagger, but like her thing is that if you try to activate her moves on a mobile enemy and you don't get them, she doesn't track.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like so you launch the star shower,
Yeah.
and like the enemy steps like one step away and you didn't hit them, it just goes nowhere.
Yeah, I've activated
Yeah.
that before and someone ran away and I was just like, well,
Yeah,
That's
and that's just like
yeah, that
here we go.
does happen.
and
I just
like,
switched characters. I'm like, I'm not even gonna watch
Yeah,
this.
yeah. But you know, when you're doing the solo battles, you know what I mean? Like, you realize how when you do the solo battles, the strengths of these characters and how well they fight together when you put them in that team. And and if you're really good at doing, like, figuring it out from the solo battles, it just makes you better when you're doing, you know, a team battle.
Yeah,
Because
I
you're just like,
understand.
okay, I know how to work these characters all together to do this battle.
Yeah, they did a good job forcing you to mix the characters up because there's certain times where you have
Oh,
Barrett and Aerith, and you're just like, okay, well, I have no one that's really like close range, and I'm not going to put the wrecking ball on Barrett because I hated that.
Yeah.
thing.
That was annoying
like,
to use.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not going to use or the claw, right?
The
claw.
claw one too. That was annoying.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not going to put that on Barrett like that, you know. So you're sitting there, and you have to do a bunch of long range stuff, but you really learn how to really utilize them, and then you have times where it's like different mixes, but then once you finally get them back together, yeah, you feel OP again.
Yeah.
You're like,
Very
yeah,
much.
I have all this stuff. Like, especially, like, I don't know, but how'd you guys feel about fighting Sephiroth at the end? Like, I felt like the fight in the beginning was, like, it was a little challenging, but then once you got everybody, yeah, of course, you just start whooping ass. Like,
yeah. It
yeah.
it just felt long. That's
It
what
just felt long, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
otherwise
he
you
had
get
like a lot of. So his thing was he had a lot of HP and a lot of phases,
Yeah.
which were annoying because anytime there are enemy phases, if you activate something, and like a phase change happens afterward, the HP does not go down, and so it's basically a waste.
Yeah, I used a limit break without realizing that, like, he was just, like, already, pretty much going to switch his phase.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, yeah, okay, for sure. Yeah. And pretty much he jumps over to the next platform, and I was just like, he took no damage.
His most difficult part was, like, near the very, very end, like his last 1/8 HP left when he starts doing Shadow Flares and Heartless Angel.
You see, for me, it was in the beginning when you have to kind of just start staggering them,
No, in the beginning
like,
too,
yeah.
but I mean, like, once everyone's together.
Oh, yeah, once everyone's
his
together,
only
yeah.
difficult phase is at the very end, in that last 1/8 of his health when he's casting Shadow Flare and Heartless Angel. And Heartless Angel is the one where it basically takes you down to 1 HP, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah,
And, like, if you had... it doesn't happen all that much. It actually happened to me for the first time this morning. Cloud and Tifa were attacking him when he did that, and they both hit 1 HP, and I'm just like, oh, crap. I got one character to try to save these two now.
It's always a good feeling.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that being said, like, I felt the fight was, like, yeah, very, very, like, straightforward, just phasey. But what was your guys' favorite fight? Like, what was your guys' favorite boss encounter? Would you say? Or what was the most annoying? Favorite or most annoying?
Most annoying boss encounter?
Yeah.
Boss?
Most annoying boss encounter.
Like, boss. I know, like, the most annoying for me was, like, just
Bahamut?
fighting General's Bahamut.
Yeah, right? You know?
Like,
Fighting
but that's
Bahamut,
the simulator,
you know?
so that's a different story. It's not
No,
a boss.
that's still a boss.
I'd still consider it a boss,
still
you
a
know?
boss.
Okay,
It's
well,
just
then,
not
yeah.
a main story boss, you
Yeah.
know? Like, yeah.
It's still considered a boss.
It gave me, like, the most annoying bitchish.
Like,
Yeah,
it was definitely the hardest fight in the game, but it wasn't the most annoying to me.
That was annoying.
I don't know. I think Hell House might be the most annoying to me. Even though once you figure it out, he's not too bad. No, you know what? Freaking hard mode Eligor.
Oh,
Screw that
Eligor?
guy.
Oh, no, yeah, hold on.
Which one's Allegor again?
The guy on the chariot, right?
Yeah.
With
Oh,
with
that guy,
spear,
okay.
You know, yeah.
Because in hard mode, after you take down like 1/3 of his health, he casts Reflect on all your characters, so you can't heal.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and you can't use Breach on your own characters to remove the Reflect. By the way, have fun with that Field Destroy.
So,
I know
yeah.
you haven't gotten there yet.
By the way, have fun with that.
Well, I did say this is theoretical. I don't know whether it works yet. Put on Warding and Subversion and see, but that would only be one character. But see if that works for you.
Okay.
I
nice.
didn't get to actually test that out
You
myself.
see, there's a few bosses that I'm not looking forward to fighting on hard mode, and that's one of them. Like Hell House for sure is one of them. You know, freaking Eligor is one of them, and probably Arsenal's probably the other one. Like the Arsenal, yeah.
Arsenal is not bad to me at all. I felt like Arsenal was mostly the same.
For me, it was pretty annoying. I don't know why. Like I felt like that fight was just like
the fight. Like, the first time you go into it, yeah, it's. I mean, or even while you go into it, even if you only took one try,
For Arsenal?
it's a little. You have to kind of figure it out. But once you kind of get it figured out, he's not tough, and in hard mode, he's pretty much the same.
Yeah, right.
So I didn't see any problem with him. Because some of these bosses, they have different mechanics. Hell House is one of those
Yeah,
where
for
it's
sure.
like
So
where
many
it's
different
you,
elements.
yeah, it's you did not expect going into the fight the different changes to do to it. I don't know if you want me to tell you.
What's up?
Hell House, how different it is in hard mode.
Oh no, go for it.
So he also spawns 3 Tonberries every so often.
Yeah,
nice.
every now and then.
And you know they have way lower HP, but
Yeah, but
still
still.
3 Tonberries.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
And
with
then-
freaking
And they
their-
still do one.
their one-hit shank, you know?
Yeah, pretty much. It's like bye bye.
So
Yeah,
that's
right?
that's a
It's
new
just how slow and smug they are, you know.
So that's a new mechanic for hard mode with Hell House. And another thing is when it starts to get to the point where it starts flying around, it spawns the
sweeper
sweeper,
and
and a cutter.
Okay, nice.
That's what I was telling you about earlier, where I was getting trapped in the corner.
Oh, because they kept just.
He shoved me into where the double doors were, and it's kind of like a box area. So Aerith was on my side, and I guess either one of them was with her, and like I couldn't, so she was occupied with that, and then I was literally shoved in the corner of that little cube area, and I was like, well, fuck.
Yeah, right?
So I'm like, I can't get out because when I try to dodge, he's in my effing way. So I'm like, shit. So I always had to make sure to run around whenever he spawns. I didn't know. You didn't even tell me he was gonna spawn.
Well, yeah, right? I forgot about that because remember when I was talking to you in party chat? I was saying
the kind of person that sits there just knowing it's coming. He's just like,
well,
just wait.
Well, I
That's why I'm telling you I'm cheating in hard mode because of him.
I did a little bit of that where I was just like, like most of the time I don't tell her until she gets into it. But when she got into it, I told her about Tomberry. I even said, I was like, I'm pretty sure there's one more mechanic that's new that I'm forgetting. And that's what it was. It was the sweeper and the cutter coming out. I was like, oh yeah. When she was just like, what the heck? Where did these come from? And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. That's what I forgot to mention.
Not even prep for it. Right?
No.
You're like the Tomberries are dead sweet.
Yeah. Well, he spawns it a few times.
Yeah, that Tomberries was special. I think you didn't tell me about the Tomberries until it was like, hey, did he just spat out Tomberries? And
yeah,
like,
but then,
he did.
Yeah, but then because they're not hard to get rid of when you know that they're there. Yeah. Even then, you have. Going into a battle, like you have the abilities to get rid of them because in hard mode you have all the abilities already. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, I already know she has triple slash. That would get rid of them once you see them coming out. But I just completely forgot about the sweeper and the cutter.
Yeah, the sweeper and the cutter.
Yeah, but technically you were prepared for that too because you already had all the different elements to take down his shield.
It's just I didn't have like either ATB at the time, and I didn't get a chance to heal, and I was stuck in a corner which I couldn't. ATB back.
And you're not good with building ATB with Aerith, apparently.
No, well.
Hey, be nice, Tradle.
When it happened,
she's a healer,
she already had ATB, but I was healing Cloud. So, and then when she would try to build again, she would almost die, so she would heal herself. Because of trying to, block the other freaking.
Nice. And I digress, right?
I digress. I hate it.
See, my favorite fight, the one I had most fun with, was the president's son and his dog.
Rufus.
You know what I'm talking about? Rufus, yeah. Like, because he has that counter mechanic.
Yeah.
Unless you freaking block his attacks.
You have to wait until
he does something, and then afterwards, you have to wait until he says reload.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty cool because he doesn't really give you that much of time.
He gives you very little time. Honestly, that fight mostly annoyed me, and it wasn't even Darkstar. Like I knew how to get rid of Darkstar,
yeah, right?
But Rufus and himself, like every time he did the reload was after I was stunned, and I was just like.
Yeah, because it was that thing. It was like
right.
He has the stun, and he has like all those various different freaking shots. Like he has the thunder, then he has the actual one where he throws the coins in the air.
Yeah, you're doing like a lot of dodging and waiting and make sure you're close enough to be able to
I thought it was fun because there's times where I'd be like, dodge, he shot, and then I'd run, and then I would block, and then he would jump back to reload. I'm like, ah.
You know what? I started to have fun once I figured it out in normal mode.
Yeah.
But in hard mode, he was again annoying. He was back to being annoying.
He goes back to being annoying.
Normal mode was like. I couldn't figure out in the beginning, it was fine, but it was annoying because it took too long, and I have impatient, because it just nicks like very little life, so you're spending like 45 minutes just trying to get him down.
Yeah, right?
This is what it feels like. It felt like an hour came through just battling him alone, because of you having to time the block, time to attack.
Yeah, I forget who it was when I fought him, same deal. I was just like, how long did I spend on that fight? Like,
right?
Damn. I'm like...
I would say one of the complaints I've noticed, too, is, sometimes with enemy tracking. And this happened mostly when I'm switching characters. Like sometimes I'll switch to Barret, and he's not facing an enemy, and so I'm trying to switch to him so I can do overcharge.
Shots instead of Oblivion.
And then well, usually I'm doing overcharge when I switch because AI does not do overcharge on its own. So when I swap over, I try to overcharge attack an enemy just to see that he's not aiming anybody. I'm just like, well, that was a waste.
And you gotta charge it back up,
Yeah. And I mean, it's good for building ATB charges, the overcharge. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, well, what the heck? Didn't do any damage to anybody and didn't build any ATB because he was hitting nobody. So
I think the thing that annoyed me too was their lock-on. Was when you're trying to run around and avoid stuff, sometimes your lock-on switch characters when you don't want. That's the annoying part of the battle system that I had to get used to not using.
No, what you mean? Sometimes it'd be like weak spot, but then there's so many different things to lock onto that if you're if you're running
around to avoid attacks,
it's hard for you to get back to where you were focused on.
Because you also used to change your camera.
Yeah.
But it's also switching your lock-on targets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, I
that would
noticed
be an annoyance.
That was also one of the reasons I'd hate, rating is down for because of that.
right?
rating is
right
gonna drop
there.
because one of that. I mean, I can understand, switching the lock-ons using maybe like a I don't know, left-right bumper instead.
I was thinking something like that too, because I was thinking it's like, can't you really use the D-pad
Or use the touch or the touchpad? Maybe you can use that too.
No, because then you use your triggers for you know, abilities and stuff like that.
You really can't use any other buttons.
Touchpad.
You probably could. Because I don't think I've ever.
The touchpad when you press it. It brings up the intel from when you assess them.
Oh, it does, huh? Yeah.
So all the buttons. Well,
if you push, but maybe just to tap, a tap type.
I guess.
Or
just
slide.
If you could slide to change,
the censoring part.
I can see that being too sensitive.
Yeah, I can see that being too sensitive. Yeah, exactly. I can see that being very annoying to people who are trying to
not push, but I mean because it records right.
That's what I mean. If you're trying
to
slide,
just tap it, not to push it.
We got something here. We need to send it to Sony.
Pretty much. It's like lock on. Just put your finger on it, not push it. Pushing it obviously things, but just tap touching it maybe. Like a regular touchscreen.
But sometimes Arsenal has 5 spots.
He has
up
the
to 6
the torso, the 4 wheels, and he has the thing on his back and his arm.
Yeah.
So there's certain things, times where you're just I found with Arsenal, where I was trying to switch him, not that wheel. Not that wheel.
Yeah.
We're almost staggering him and it's shooting at the wrong wheel.
Yep. Yep. I had that issue. Actually, that was one of the main ones I had an issue with. Was just trying to target the right spot for specifically.
Yeah, because when you
that's also one thing. You didn't think of it right, because that brought up my thing because of now having to target the right person.
Yeah, because it's he goes into the homing missile phase, and then his back lights up, and you're supposed to shoot that so it does extra damage. But it's trying to get the auto lock up there. I was just oh man. It was sweet though. If you get Aerith, just hit it with Tempest, and the Tempest just sits there, just freaking knocking it down, dude.
Yeah. Man, Aerith's awesome.
Yeah, Aerith. So that being said, too, Aerith in-game combat was awesome. I found Aerith very annoying in this game.
Really?
Personally,
I love Aerith.
I found her personally to be a very she was thirsty. She was pretty thirsty for Cloud.
I felt like I was more of Jessie.
Jessie.
Yeah, I feel like that was
hugely thirsty.
Jessie was, but
super thirsty.
Aerith was playing this kind of I don't know, her dialogue just wasn't the best. She felt very pushy.
Oh.
She felt very I'm cute, so I can do what I want. You know what I mean? Or hey, Cloud, you're gonna be I'm gonna do this, do that without you.
We had this conversation with Tradehole last night, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't last night, I don't think. It was a few nights
ago. I just found Aerith to be a little unbearable at times, where I was just
oh, I loved Aerith.
I was just
I loved Aerith.
There's times when I'm just Aerith, if I was Cloud right now, oh man, I would try to leave you for good 15-20 minutes, and just get away. Yeah, But that's just me.
Yeah.
There's certain times where I was just
So I personally loved Aerith. I preferred Aerith more in the original too.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone has this team Cloudy and team Clarith, whatever they called it. But I did.
Right.
Yeah, that is a thing. It's actually more of a thing now than it was in the past. Now I see that on my feed everywhere. I'm just I didn't even know these terms. But yeah, I was more for Aerith, and I liked her even more with the remake. And I have some friends. Actually, Funkoland hates Aerith.
Oh, we might have a good conversation.
Yeah, you two would definitely agree because he absolutely hates Aerith.
You see, I wouldn't say I hate her. I just found her annoying.
He hates her.
He despises her.
Yeah, and one of my buddies that I've brought up a few times now, not by name, but we've talked about it a few times. He didn't like Aerith initially in the first original game, either. He didn't hate her. He didn't really like her. He preferred Tifa. And he was just I'm not really liking Aerith right now. And then he changed his mind fairly quickly. He's you know what? I take it back. I'm really liking Aerith right now. So...
You see, I liked...
I feel sometimes it's a first impression.
More towards
He took it back? Oh, because he's playing it right now, too?
Oh, he beat it. Yeah, he just recently beat it. But, yeah, when he, because when I was going... when he was talking to me was when he was progressing through it. I had already gotten near the end of the game when he started.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, he was oh, I can't stand Aerith right now. And then he got to, I think, chapter when it was around chapter 9 or something, when it was like, you know what, I'm really liking their dialogue and interaction. So I'm actually really liking Aerith right now.
So yeah, it was really well written, but they wrote her really well for me not to like her. You know, like I found her like she's like I liked her more towards the end, of course. Mm-hmm. But then at that point too, I'm just like, why did it take you so long for you to finally like just start opening up to this team of people that are risking their lives for you? You know what I mean? Like all this stuff and just.
I mean,
she like changes from like, you know, she just kind of flips over to where it's just like, yeah, now I'm assuming my role as like, you know, one of the ancients and stuff like this. I have all this knowledge.
Well, she was like, revealing that, but at the beginning, she was also very. Remember when Cloud was about to be like, oh, Tifa can take care of herself. Aerith was like, no, you gotta go rescue her. See, she's already really like, okay. Oh, you need me to go get Marlene? All right, got it.
She's very like.
She also pushes Wedge.
I know she's your girl, man, but I gotta trash her a little bit. So like, you know, sure she's proactive and stuff like that, but she's very pushy in all the wrong ways, you know. And it's not so much.
I don't think
and
that's
it's
right,
not
though.
So much because she's trying to be helpful, but it's because she knows the bigger story and she's trying to like manipulate everybody into the right direction, you know.
I don't fully agree with that.
Like,
I think here's the thing. This is a controversial subject to Final Fantasy 7 fans, I'm sure.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, like, see, and this is the thing that Funkoland argues about too, is that to him, she's like the typical girl that holds you back, and
you know what I mean?
I don't agree with that.
When she could like easily be helping the group progress a little faster, you know, than they need to.
Well, the way Funkoland sees it is more like man and woman type of thing.
Oh, no, I wouldn't say that so much.
Yeah.
You know, like I wouldn't say that dynamic so much. I just feel like I don't know. She's playing too coy, like too like, you know, like kind of I don't really know anything. Like I'm just this flower girl kind of thing, you know, like. I don't know. I just didn't really like her character.
Well, she did that in the original too.
She did, you know. But at least like when you're reading it, I don't know. It's
like, but she doesn't want to admit that she's also an ancient because that's her problem.
I know what you mean.
You know,
I'd say I like her character. It was really well written. Mm-hmm. Me personally, I just didn't enjoy it as much as I'd like to. See, that being said, though, I do really like Tifa, though.
But I think and that's my thing with Tifa is that I felt she was, and she's even more so in the remake, that she's too reserved, too indecisive.
Well, she's scarred, man.
Yeah. So is Aerith.
You know?
I think both
Aerith
of them
escaped from a lab, remember?
Aerith escaped from a lab, remember?
Freaking Aerith and her mom were experimented on in her youth. What are you talking about?
you know why I'm throwing these controversial topics out? I haven't seen you get this riled up before.
I'm gonna stay neutral. I mean, I still like Tifa over everyone.
As soon as we
over
started,
Aerith, but I mean, I never hated Aerith. I'm like, I liked her too. It's just I felt,
and that's my thing. I don't hate Tifa. It's just like when it gets to the point where people try to like talk down like Aerith and be like, oh yeah, Tifa's better. I'm just like, all right, my turn.
That's what I'm saying. I was just like,
no.
You got very spirited once we got into Aerith, and as soon as like I saw that you were getting spirited, I was like, yeah, let me start saying some more controversial stuff.
Start poking J-Hold.
Yeah, you know what? How about this about Aerith? No.
No.
No, but
no,
in all seriousness, though, I agree. She was really well written. I really I understand all the stuff like that. I was just poking fun, but I felt like at the very core of it, I just felt like she was a little pushy at times, you know.
But I felt like
she was playing kind of like that kind of like girly girl. I feel like in my position, as far as Cloud. You know, I definitely lean more towards Tifa. You know what I mean? More so than
I think
Aerith.
that's the more popular.
And there were certain times too where I felt like, it felt like kind of like to what's called Funkoland's point. It felt like she was holding like Cloud back a little bit to kind of like protect him from all the stuff, you know, because she feels like he's not ready to jump into that like.
That's
world,
not the way Funkoland sees it.
But I'm saying, but he's seeing more like that. But
I know.
But in other ways where I feel like he's holding her like, or she's holding him back, you know, from like really.
I actually feel like she's good at making him open up because he was very closed, and it's not like she forced him to do anything. He was free to walk away anytime, but he doesn't because I think at some
would
level,
you walk away from Aerith?
Oh, of course I wouldn't. It's obvious. Come on, but we're different personalities. You know what I mean?
No,
yeah. Like Funkoland will walk away from her if he's waiting for Sephiroth to kill her off. Like that, nice. he hates her that much.
Right.
He hates her that much. He's like, the best way for her to change is for Sephiroth to come and just stab her.
I think I read that comment. I was like, Sephiroth can't come soon enough.
Yeah. Yep. That's right.
That part.
You know, it's like
no. Because I feel like Cloud he's very aloof, and to me, like if Aerith was not there, he would be Squall.
He wouldn't.
And
yeah,
who
I
wants
felt like
Squall?
Cloud wouldn't open up because of Aerith. Because Tifa, even with Tifa, like in the beginning, you can see their interactions. Like he already closed himself off compared to their childhood.
Yeah.
So
and,
with Aerith being part of it,
and I mean, here's still my point from the original too. And again, I don't hate Tifa, but when you find out more about their past, you're just like, really, Tifa?
Really, Tifa?
Like, oh, you're so first you're already like very like she's a cool fighter. I think that's one. I feel like a lot of my friends, when they reflect on the original before the remake even came out, when they reflected on the original, they said she's such a great character because of personality. And I'm like, when they list all these personalities, I'm just like, she didn't have that personality. And I felt like you added or projected that personality because she was a fighter.
Yeah, right.
And you wanted her to be a strong character, but she actually mentally was not a strong character.
not mentally,
She was,
no.
she was
Physically,
very,
yes, and she can take care of herself.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like
she was very reserved. She was very like, even in the remake, they showed it more that she was trying to stay focused because her mind was always so conflicted.
Yeah. We're gonna ask her too. She's like, "How long you been here?" She's like, "Oh, I don't even know. Like, what? Oh, it's been 5 years." You know, kind of like.
Well, that actually was, that's actually another story point, really. But it was more like when you find out about her past, where it's just like, oh, she wasn't even really friends with Cloud, and she only thought about him when he said he would go off to become Soldier, and that, to me, that's just like, that's a very shallow person.
They met at the top of the water tower, man.
Huh?
You know, they sat together and had a moment.
Yeah, but that was also after the fact that, she let him get blamed for her falling from the mountain going into that coma. And she did nothing to help that situation.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, again, I'm not putting her down. This is just when I played the original.
I'm just saying.
When I played the original, that's what I was feeling. I was just like, and I'm talking about when I was a kid, not when I played it last year. When I was a kid, I was just like, that's not cool, And, Funko Land defends it, but when I brought it up, he's like, well, people change. She was like 13. And I'm like, well, she didn't change, though. Because mentally, she's still the same. Right? And again, that's cool if you like Tifa. I'm just bringing that up.
I like how Field Destroy is just sitting neutral right now.
I mean, because like
I know Field Destroy, one of her favorite characters is Tifa, so it's alright.
Tifa's always been like my favorite. So, and not saying, I mean, I've liked Aerith too, and then it's also the same thing with my best friend. It's like me and her, we're Aerith and Tifa type of feeling. So that's why it's like, I can't really hate Aerith because her personality, she felt more playful in this remake, but at the same time, like going through it, then I like her more than I did in the original because of how more expressive she is compared to when you're reading, you're trying to imagine her expression. Tifa, I felt like she was like, damn, you're being a little bitch right now. But I mean, I still like you because one, when you get your mind to it, you feel like you'll actually go attack. Is what you see it throughout the game too. She's like, I'm gonna get an answer. I'm gonna get it, although it may annoy the crap out of me, but I'm still gonna get that answer.
And she is very human, and I understand that. That's why she's very conflicted. That's a very human part of her.
Yeah.
So I don't really have that against her. This is my mindset and why I prefer one over the other. It's not to say it's wrong.
No, of course.
To say she's wrong for it.
That's why I've seen a lot of these conversations going on. As far as like Aerith and Tifa.
Yeah. It's a big subject.
Yeah, right.
It's always just this and the other.
It's so big that even I get annoyed by it, even from people who like Aerith.
As soon as brought up, sit up in the chair.
Oh, no. So there are people who defend this whole Cloud and Aerith thing, and even they start to get annoying because they start pointing out things that are like, this is Silent Hill level of detail that you guys are going into, where it's like, that's not actually, like, you're going into like, man, see how he said that one word and then the screen switched to Aerith and it's like you could totally understand how he felt, and now it's just like, all right, man, this is not Silent Hill, dude. Let's not talk about they're wearing this color clothes because it means this. All right, like, calm down. It's cool that you ship Cloud and Aerith, but that's too much.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
See, it's funny to hear like different perspectives on it too as well.
Yeah.
But like from Funkoland's point, that whole like male female kind of like, I was just like, what?
Yeah. That's also a little too much too.
Yeah, right.
I was
just like, I thought we agreed on the same thing. I was like, oh wait, no.
Yeah. It's like you almost agreed, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, it's slightly different.
Yeah, right.
And that's actually the Final Fantasy fandom in general.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That even when they agree on something, it's not the same reason.
Yeah, right?
But yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely a good topic. She's overpowered, but I found her to be my least favorite of the party.
Ah.
That being said, though, the character that I thoroughly enjoyed, like, because before, like, that I liked before from the original, but I feel like I kind of came to life a little bit more, like you guys were saying, was freaking Barrett.
Yeah,
Like,
I actually was going to say that.
Like, Barrett had a great voice actor, you know,
Barrett
did great, you know, like his
Are you talking about
story
English
was,
or Japanese? That's my question.
English voice actor.
English.
yeah.
Okay,
English.
I didn't
English,
actually
you
play
know.
the English. I get annoyed with English voice acting.
Okay, no, for sure. Like, just like, you know,
Such a
I imagine I can hear him.
Japanophile.
I'm sorry.
Hey,
I mean, it makes
I'm
it
just
easier for
kidding.
me because I understand partial Japanese conversation, so that's why I had no problem playing through it.
She's flexing right now.
yeah, right? Yeah, she's
I'm kidding.
flexing. You say that, and it's like he had great, you know, dialogue. It was beautifully written, and I
Yeah.
feel like he's gonna have really great character development. Like,
Well, he
even
had
more
really
so,
great
it's like-
character development in this game.
Yeah, like
Because-
even sort of like you can
like-
see how much.
So did he
growth
really
it
do
has,
like the cha 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 cha? Almost
Yeah,
like,
Oh no, he does.
does it do in the English one? Okay.
No, he does. Yeah.
Yeah, he goes.
Dun, 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 dun.
Because in
They're
Japanese
gonna
it's
hear
funny
that
as hell.
ringing
Yeah.
through Midgar.
Yep. No, he does that in English too. Yeah. You can't. If they did it in Japanese, you can't take that out in English.
I was like, it would have been bad if.
But
I did.
no, like because one of the things was that, and I had this conversation playing through the demo, because a lot of my friends were like, "Oh, he's so annoying," and I'm like, "Well, you kind of see, even by the end of the demo, how he's observing how calm Cloud is, and he's trying to learn how to restrain himself, and so, again, when you're playing through the real game." Yeah, he's so annoying at the beginning because he's like, oh, this guy's like ex Shinra lapdog, and then
Yeah.
already by Mako reactor number 5, he's like, you know what, I was wrong about you. You're a really cool guy, you know, and yeah. So I was just like, and I don't think you got that chapter 14 resolution with Barrett, right? It's
Which one? Oh yeah, no, I got all the stuff. Or is he? Or were you still talking about the scene with Barrett in chapter 14 or no?
yeah, the scene in Barrett with chapter 14, because you can only get it with one character each playthrough. You can either get it with Aerith, Tifa, or Barrett, and it depends on your decisions throughout the game.
Yeah, and I
when
got
you
the one
get
with Barrett where he's like standing out there and he's talking about the team.
Yeah, yeah.
He's just like, yeah, this is the intel girl, and like,
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
that,
yeah,
and,
yeah.
like, she's friends with Tifa, and like
Yeah.
he's like reminiscing. He's looking up at the plate, you know.
Yeah.
Or the hole, you know.
That's
rather,
it. Yeah. I mean,
That was a really good scene.
yeah, it is. Yeah, exactly. And that was a great scene to kind of show, and it's actually that's actually a callback to the dating stuff. If you didn't know, because you know how the dating stuff worked in the original with Golden Saucer, where you get the
Yeah,
date with
like-
Aerith or Tifa, or with Barrett. That was really
With
awkward. Or
Barrett,
Yuffie,
you know, yeah.
or with Yuffie too. But it was like that awkward scene if it was with Barrett. But they were kind of playing off the same type of point system on whose scene you would get on the chapter 14. But yeah, Barrett's was really good.
Yeah. No,
I
Barrett was
have
pretty
yet to
sweet.
see Barrett's thing. I
Yeah.
had Tifa twice for some reason.
Yeah.
But then again, I can't help it. I have fangirl moments of Tifa and Cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the
So
Tifa
I
one.
was squealing every single time I saw that. Not only, I mean, even when the plate falls, how Cloud was chases after Tifa. It's like, Tifa, come here, help, hug grab,
Right.
hugs! You're hugging her! It was all my reaction every single time.
No, when I saw it too, it was just like, ooh, Tifa standing in the garden under the moonlight. Go get it, Cloud. Yeah.
Pretty much is all my reaction. It's like, awkward Cloud, come on.
I was like, come on, Cloud, yeah, go.
You gotta do a little bit more.
It's funny too because the developers when they talked about it, they said that Cloud was meant to come off as inexperienced and awkward during that scene if you do the Tifa resolution, because he observed Barrett doing it and he was trying to console Tifa, but he's still inexperienced, and technically, even though most people won't know this if Final Fantasy VII Remake was the first time playing, he only has 16 years of life. He lost like 4 years of it because of the whole experimentation thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's still mentally, he's still somewhat a 16-year-old trying to act cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No.
Still
man.
trying to learn. Yeah.
Yeah, still trying to learn. See, that's why it's super cool when you see Barrett up there too. I was just like, interesting, it's Barrett. You know, you go up there, I was like, I wonder what he's gonna say. But then he had like this deep ass dialogue too. Like I said, you can see how he's becoming more mature. He's
Yeah.
actually seeing like all these things falling into place. What was really interesting is like I don't remember if in the original it was. Because I remember them blowing up the reactors, but I don't remember it being Shinra that's like behind it, Like,
So they actually implied it in the original.
yeah, like they implied it, you
Yeah,
know, but it
but-
wasn't like I remember
yeah.
their bombs were actually setting that shit off.
Yeah,
'Cause,
yeah.
Like I remember like when Jesse's just like, why there's or like no when the bomb first goes off, I was just like, oh, I thought it was gonna blow up, and then like the lasers come in and shit. I was like, I don't remember this.
Yeah, they were in the original they didn't go into that.
And then you go to like the
it
whole
was
stuff
just-
with Heidegger, and you're just like,
Yeah.
okay, and they're like,
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
implied.
It wasn't.
Yeah, it was
detailed.
implied exactly, but in this one they tried to make it more direct. That's like, oh, Shinra was the one that set it off, really.
Yeah, because it was interesting. Because before, like, I saw Avalanche as, like, that, like, terrorist group, like, they're like, I don't care, we're doing this for the people. It hurts people. But it was interesting seeing that whole dynamic for, like, to where now it's kind of like Shinra doing it, and they're conflicted.
Yeah.
And, like, you see Barrett kind of trying to, like, deal with this stuff, too.
And the thing is, because they're catering this to the compilation, because, again, Leslie and Kyrie, they're from, side stories from the compilation. And if you've ever looked into Before Crisis, the story from the Turk side of view, Avalanche was very terrorist type of group, and that's why they have these different cells between the main Avalanche group that you're a part of that splintered off from the bigger cells, because they talked about this big cell who has the main Avalanche branch that tried to assassinate Shinra, and that's not your group, that's the main group. And so if you ever went back to look at Before Crisis, like Avalanche was almost the bad guy in that one. And, like, when you're playing as the Turks, you're just like, dude, Avalanche is kind of douchey. Like,
that's what it is. Because, like, I haven't gone into too much extra on it, too, but I always thought Avalanche was a lot smaller than they implied in, like, the remake. Where in the remake, they're making it seem like Avalanche is, like, this freaking, like, group, like, this organization. Where before in the original, I remember, like, I always felt like Avalanche was maybe just, like, them and maybe a few other people,
And that's what it was. In the original, it was going to be like that, but they expanded in the compilation.
Yeah, right? So I'm just like, okay. Like, it's cool that they believe that they're still that terrorist group, but now they're implying that, like, it's Shinra really, like, behind all this stuff. They're really going in depth into it.
Yeah.
And it's really adding this really cool story element, because even Jessie's thinking, like, she has that one moment where she's like, even if it was me, I just gotta own it.
Yeah.
I just gotta acknowledge that, like, I just killed a bunch of people, like, for the sake of the planet, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
like,
we did say before that it felt like the remake was gonna be more towards expand on certain parts that was not even fully described. So.
Yeah. And, like, even that was really cool seeing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, seeing all the strings being pulled and stuff.
Like, you'll see more connections to the nostalgia.
I think now this actually, to me, it confirms that Yuffie and Vincent will not be optional. Because they directly tied it to Wu-Tai now. So it's Yuffie, Wu-Tai will be an element of the story that you will have to visit at one point, because now Shinra is tying Avalanche to them. So Yuffie will definitely be a main playable character. And I don't know if you guys caught a bit of this at the end when Hojo actually referencing Sephiroth, he says their offspring.
I think so, yeah. Like, when he's, like, in the front, like, I think right before... What is he doing? Yeah, but he's, like, standing there giving his little monologue speech, to himself.
Oh,
like
when he was watching all those mini-screens?
Yeah, when he's, like, he's giving his evil, like, talking to himself.
And he says their offspring, because the thing is, in the original, Sephiroth is technically Hojo and Lucretia. Or Lucrezia, however you pronounce her name. But the way he says it now seems to be implying Vincent and Lucrezia's son. So now I think it's almost retconning that Vincent is Sephiroth's dad. So I don't know if they are, but it sounds like it because of the way he references their offspring as opposed to my offspring or something more cryptic.
Yeah, right. That's true too. Well, there's, like, a whole lot of stuff that happened, like, at the end that kind of just, like, starts stirring the pot a little bit.
Yeah. So what do you guys think about going into the next game? This is a big topic here because of how it ended.
Yeah, right now I was about to say, is, like, there's a lot of different things at the end where I was just like, what?
It literally gave you the WTF moment.
It gave the WTF moment. So, like, first off, when I saw Zack, I was just like, oh, like, yeah.
Does that, to you, did it seem more like a flashback with Zack saying, or do you
No, it's definitely a flashback.
It's definitely a flashback.
But the thing is, the way that they overlap it.
It's the whole thing is, I feel like, so here's now we're getting into, like, the nitty gritty now.
Yeah.
So, like, so there's a lot of talks that I'm hearing where there's a bunch of different, like, it's almost like a multiverse kind of thing going on.
Yeah, because
there's a lot of different alternate timelines that are happening to where they're overlapping, and then Aerith's able to see it, and I feel like Sephiroth is able to see all these different things too as well. Because even implies too as well, he's just like, it almost seems like he knows he's failed, and he's almost trying to make it so that, everything falls into place so that he doesn't. So that's why I'm sitting there, and, like, when I saw Zack, I was just like, oh, this is a dope flashback. And then, like, not until you see him,
for which part? With him and Cloud, or when him battling?
No, when he's battling everybody, right? Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is cool. But then you go to the part where he's actually, like, with Cloud, and he's carrying Cloud off, and I was like, what the And then, like, he passes right by them, and I feel like even Cloud had a moment where he was just, like, didn't really, like, look around, but he's just like, what the
Yeah.
Like,
And then
Where he
Aerith is
kind
the
of
one.
like almost acknowledges this.
And then like Aerith is the one that actually stops, and she's just like, "Whoa! Like what the
She
hell
sees
is like?" She
everything.
sees them, you know. It's like, and that's when I was just like,
Because in the original, like
Okay,
they show you,
you know?
how he dies.
Yeah.
So it's more like, I had a friend who was telling me, I was like, he was supposed to die. I'm like, well, I feel like this is more of a flashback than him being really of a real life. You can't really,
Well, the
but
thing
it
is-
looks like it was not.
Well, it's still a flashback. The thing is that even in Crisis Core, it actually references almost exactly how Crisis Core ends, and the only difference is that he actually he defeated everybody, as
Yeah.
opposed to at the end you see him kind of lying bloodied, and Cloud crawls up to him like he's supposed to in the original, and Zack gives him that speech and hands him the Buster Sword. Whereas in this one, he actually survives and he carries Cloud to him towards Midgard.
yeah, you know.
So,
Right.
what do you guys think? Zack alive?
I think Zack's alive. You know, I feel like that's I think this is one of their creative freedoms that they're taking because he's such a popular
Well, then
character. Like, I feel like there's so much they can
I
do with
couldn't
Zack
tell.
that they're just gonna be like, no, we're just
So,
not gonna like.
so
I couldn't tell because a lot of the parts also gave me like a WTF moment.
So, in my opinion, I don't think he's actually alive. But if he is, he's probably still gonna die, and we're gonna go into this too with Aerith. But my thing is that first of all, this whole thing where the whispers disappear, it seems like they intentionally overlap this to make it seem like the whispers disappearing in present time affected the past because the same thing happened when Zack was defeating all the soldiers.
Yeah, everything kind of overlaps.
Yeah,
you know?
but I was just like this, what you did here couldn't have affected the past because the past already happened. Cloud already has the Buster Sword. Something has to have happened to Zack. Now, I don't think they're going to show him off and not have him show up later on.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So they're definitely going to do something. So in my opinion, I don't think they're going to drastically change the story. They're going to do... And they even talk about it in one of the interviews with the Ultimania, is that they're not drastically changing the story. They're just doing slight changes. And so what I think they're going to do is... if Zack was alive, he could have died on the way to Midgard. They actually never showed you making it into Midgard, but I don't think they would do that. I think if he was alive, then he may have gotten captured and become a Sephiroth clone. Remember, that's what he was being experimented for in the first place.
Oh.
Or what could have happened too, and this is getting really specific. These are just speculation.
Yeah.
What could have happened in my mind too is that. Cloud went off the deep end during one of his times because he was, a failed experiment or whatever, and he might have killed Zack himself. That's how they could have done the story too, because he has to have had that Buster Sword in some way. He had to have gotten it from Zack in some way,
What I feel like I agree. I think he's alive only to a certain point, but I feel like the stories are going to intersect at some point.
Oh yeah.
To your point too, where I feel like everything's happening at once, but then Zack's going to have to die, Aerith's going to have to die.
Yeah.
And they're only alive right now to kind of give more story to us,
Now,
open things up a little bit more.
So that's another thing too, is that do you think you'll be able to save Aerith in the next installments?
I wouldn't like to necessarily, just for
help though, because that breaks the iconic part of the story.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it would help anything by keeping her alive. Yeah. I feel like it's more true to the story, and it would hit just as hard if you just give us this awesome freaking scene. So in the game, just fleshed out.
So I think this is what I think they might do. Now, everyone is hoping they save Aerith. I of course would hope that they save Aerith, but I agree, she has to die. Because first of all, she summons Holy. And even then, after they defeated Sephiroth and Holy was still not enough, she helped guide the life stream to protect against Meteor. So I think if they had the point where it was like, Aerith lived, they're gonna get to a point where it's like, okay, Aerith actually needs to die.
Yeah, now when are we gonna kill her?
Like, I don't know how they would pull it off story wise, but they're gonna
they
realize
have to change the whole story if
like
they end up
Aerith
later.
Like Aerith would have to be like, oh shoot, I should have died back there.
She just bite the bullet.
Yeah.
No, it's kind of like the same thing. Like, I know a little off topic, maybe not related whatsoever, but kind of the same thing. Like in The Walking Dead, everyone loves Glenn, right? The one character, and then he has this very iconic death, like at some point in the story. But everyone's like, you can't kill that character because they're so important and we love them and stuff like this. But they realize that if you keep that character alive, it almost just changes everything.
Yeah.
So then even like that actor was just like, you know what, like, no, kill me. I want that death because it's gonna hit where it needs to. Like it's necessary for the storytelling.
Yeah.
So like even as much as we all love Aerith and we all really want her to live and she's really useful and she kicks ass, it's like, you know, for the story we need Sephiroth to kill her.
Yeah.
I mean, if their plan is to stay at least still within the main storyline,
exactly.
that's still a given.
Yeah. So if they kept her alive, I'm thinking there's gonna be a point where she's like, you know, I should have died, or maybe there's gonna be a point where, I don't know, they temporarily travel back to the past. I don't know.
They did a lot of like Kingdom Hearts sequences too.
Yeah,
you know, like
freaking
clouds,
Nomura.
Dropping through the sky with stars flying around and stuff. You know what I mean? Like they could totally do some flashback stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that was a cool callback to the original, because that whole sequence was the ending of Final Fantasy VII in general. They even did that flash between Sephiroth and Cloud. I was like, I wonder if why did they do this so early? And I was just like, well, maybe I guess they want to see the progress between Cloud and Sephiroth in the future, because they have to do that again at the end, you know?
Yeah. If we're gonna how many installments, they gotta do a little flash.
So, speaking of, now that you've played the first game, how many installments do you think?
I'm thinking 3.
You think 3?
I think 3 still.
I still think about 4 at most.
I'd say 4 at most, you know. But I feel like the second one's gonna be bigger.
Okay, so in the interviews that they talked about, they actually mentioned that a lot of people believe it's 3, but there's no grounds to believe that.
Yeah.
They said that there's no proof, there's no evidence.
Course,
we never said anything that it would be 3, and then Tetsuya Nomura, he actually said he wants to release the next one as soon as possible, but it depends on the production team, whether they're going to do small batches or large ones, like large parts instead of like small ones, little at a time. In my opinion, I actually am going back to 5 now.
You're going back to 5?
Yeah, because before I was like, you know what, maybe it's going to be 4. I'm actually going to go back to 5 parts now based on how I'm seeing they're doing.
Or how
story.
the Midgar part ended.
Yeah.
Because there's still more to Midgar, I think, right?
Yeah, you come back to Midgar.
Yeah,
yes.
come back to Midgar. My whole thing is,
but
like,
you don't go back to very.
When you think about it realistically, like, how many hours did you put into the first one, like part 1, like for just story in general, just to get through the actual main game?
I finished mine at around 50 something hours, but I did have about maybe 3 hours of idle time. So
yeah, you see, I'm about 50 myself, and maybe about like 2 or 3 hours idle time as well. Like, would you say the same?
Yeah, I would say the same for me because I can't really pay attention.
With 5 parts, that's like over 300-400 hours worth of content. You know what I mean? For just like that one game. And then again too, when you're talking about like cost too as well, as like spending $60 on 5 parts, you know what I mean?
But that's the thing too, when they're talking about,
I feel like 4 max.
Well, because the thing is, they're talking about either doing small parts or large. So I don't like, with the way that they say it, it almost seems like we don't even know whether the next one will get a physical release.
Or if it's going to be a DLC.
Yeah. So
if they do small parts, then I'd understand if.
Yeah, if they do small parts DLC, $15 a piece. So does that mean that if they did?
You know?
So does that mean that if they did larger ones, will it be for 60 or would it be 30 to 40? You know what I mean? Because if it's like expansion type almost, it might just be less than that. And the thing is, you can't go into 2 without playing the first one. That's just. Like, I mean, I don't know how they would go about it, but I can't see that happening. Yeah. Maybe at most they have like a summary, which would be terrible.
Yeah, right. Some kind of like Star Wars like drop crawl, you know?
Yeah. Like, so I'm just like, it's so many questions in that regard.
You think interesting enough, like with the DLC, at least it allow you to like easier carry everything over.
Yeah,
you know, it's no problem.
And that's another thing too, how like, they would carry things over.
Because I was thinking, like, I was building my characters at some point, almost thinking in the future, like, oh, this is gonna be for like, you know, I'm trying to get these guys like leveled up so that once I'm going to these next games, they're gonna keep building. But then I was thinking, like, how are they really gonna implement this to where the next game comes out? Is it gonna be like your save file transfers over? Like, is it kind of like, are they doing this kind of like
with your save file?
I'm pretty sure.
Are they gonna do like this Destiny kind of thing where they do like where everything is kind of like transferable easily, you know? Like, because I know that is available. Yeah. But you know how are they gonna implement it as far as?
Yeah. That's a big question too, and I'm pretty sure that they went into this when they realized this was gonna be a multi-part saga, that they already are working on the fact that this is gonna be transferable. But think about that in terms of your levels. get to level 50 in the first game.
Yeah.
At max, and depending on how you set up your characters,
you can have like 9,000. What are we like level 4 or 500?
Yeah,
like, just going
that's the thing
strong,
too. Like,
you know,
do you think they're gonna raise the level cap, or do you think they're gonna reset your levels lower with some kind of excuse, like, you know?
I feel like you just scale the enemies up and just keep those levels, you know.
Like I said, automatic hard mode.
Yeah, and then just like you said, yeah, you pretty much just like it just registers what content you've already completed, and then from
maybe
that point,
add additional what's the usual game? Max levels 100 or 99?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? So you give it maybe an extra 10.
Soft capped it at like 60, 70. You know?
Yeah, max it to 60.
And just make
but
it so...
at 10 extra levels makes it seem so short, you know what I mean?
Because, I mean, if you standardly finish the game... Well, when I finished the game on normal, it was already at what? I was level like 45.
Yeah.
Unless
right?
they reset you
40.
to 1 and just let you keep all your materia and stuff. Or like, and then all your
I mean that, but if you cap it at 60, you have that 15 levels at least, or something. They can implement it so many different ways.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Can you really
personally, I think they're going to... This is just my opinion, obviously. But I think they're going to raise the level cap every game. So, like you were saying, possibly up to like level 400 or whatever later on.
Well, it's like what most MMOs do is they'll just keep it going up.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
And that's the thing, too.
They usually by like every 10 to 20 levels, though, for
that
every
being said, do you
MMOs.
think people could experience, like, let's say, part 3 without playing any of the first 2 parts? Like, do you think they'll have an option to where it's just, like, you just start with base level stuff?
Yeah. I see. So that's the thing. That's one of the things I was talking about is, are they going to do that? And I can see them doing that.
So we're just like, I don't want to play the whole Midgar part, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't care about that.
So I feel like, you know, is there... If they, yeah. So I think, like, if they did something like that, then yes, they would be a base level. And, like, let's say the next game is going to be, like, level, 100. If you were just going into it without playing the first one, without any kind of file transfer, I feel like your starting level might be, like, 30, 25.
Okay.
Something like
I
that.
can see that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to get you started. Just so you don't feel like you're getting destroyed.
Yeah.
Know? Yeah, no, I can see that. Because there's all these questions popping up when I was playing it. Getting towards the end, I was saying, like, oh, this is pretty good. I was like, but wait, there's supposed to be more. You know, like, I was like, I want more, but what are they going to do, you know? Like, how are they going to implement it?
It's so hard to tell. And I'm already seeing rumors that, I mean, they're planning on, trying to release it earlier than this one because it took them, 5 years?
Yeah, but they also lost about 2 years. Because they had CyberConnect working on it and they scraped the whole thing. In this case, they have the battle system. Red's already pretty much worked out, and they have almost all the assets already for it.
Yeah, so at least they have the framework, to just not just have to fill it up.
They already said that they're probably not going to do like every year release, but again, this is left up to the production team.
Do you think they're going to wait for the PS5 to come out? You know, like all this stuff.
I believe
someone said they most likely will release on PS5.
Most likely, yes, we'll have a PS5 release, but because PS5 will be backwards compatible with PS4, that's not going to be an issue with save transfer or anything like that. Yeah. And again, they went into this knowing that, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So they have some way of transferring. If you start on PS5, the next one, then...
Can you imagine if Square Enix was just like, we didn't plan for PS5?
Or they'll re-release,
what is this?
The remake on PS5.
Oh, yeah, they will. They definitely will.
Oh, yeah, they always do
so that way for everyone else who just has a PS5.
It's like, here's the game, but better graphics.
Oops.
Up to 4K. That's where all the low-res textures...
Yeah, look at our low-res doors in 4K.
That's where it's gonna be fixed. It's like, oh yeah, we were waiting for PS5 because we couldn't do this on the PS4.
Some of the rooftops on the buildings, like. Yeah, man.
But actually, going back to story changes, possibly story changes. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I had those. I was telling you them too.
Yeah. I have this one. I don't actually believe, but I thought just a fun one to put out there. What if Zack was Roche?
Oh. Like, what?
Like he doesn't even know. Like he has like this alternate personality because of his experimentation.
He just loves riding motorcycles.
Yeah, exactly. Because Roche disappears. It's like, okay, after the whole thing with the attack on the Shinra base.
And you fight him one-on-one too, huh?
Yeah,
and he kind of disappears from there.
He does. He disappears again. Completely disappears. That's from the story.
Back.
Oh yeah.
You know he's coming back. He's so funny.
But I mean, if you look at it, yeah, he is pretty fun. If you look at it, his hair is actually not too off from Zack's. It's just different color.
Blonde.
And maybe a little bit, less
spiky.
Yeah, less spiky, but for the most part, it's pretty close. You know, it's just I don't believe it, but
And
I think it's just a fun one for me to throw out there.
Is he Roche?
He does this. There is a lot of questionable things that happen throughout the story.
Yeah,
if you
like
think about.
he has so much freedom that he's basically killing Shinra soldiers and just like, oh, let him off, he's soldier. You know,
Right?
like what's that deal? You know?
Yeah, right now he's just like, oh no, he's one of us.
Yeah.
It's like one of us, not really. Why are you attacking me?
See, one of the changes that made me happy, you know, necessarily is what got me sad. First off, was when I was sitting there and you watched the plate get dropped on Wedge, and he's holding his cats.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was just like, no, like my boy, he was just trying to save his cats, you know. And like even like when you're seeing like Jesse and stuff, you know, like dying pretty much like on the tower, and then like Biggs, you know, because like in the old one, they were pretty much just like these like freaking just like people on the floor, right? You just walk
You
up
get
to
like
them.
one line with them, yeah, before they're dead.
Yeah, right.
I knew that they were gonna expand on this.
Yeah, and then at the end,
definitely
like,
knew they were gonna do
it
that.
This
goes
was
through,
the
and then, like-
WTF moments because all three of them should have died.
Yeah, no, and I saw, and then when I saw Wedge, I was like, what the like, oh, Wedge is alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah.
Until that one chapter where it sounds like he got pushed out the window.
Yeah.
It does sound like he got pushed out.
So,
the
but
window,
is
yeah.
it true if he got pushed out, or did they keep him alive?
So here's the thing: is like the whole whispers. You know, like we notice, like there's a lot of times like where goes wrong, and they come through out of nowhere and save. Like they saved Aerith at one point.
Yeah.
But it's the whispers
Like
that pushed him.
They stop certain stuff, right? I feel like the whispers saved him. Like I feel like the whispers came up and grabbed Wedge and just and threw him into the
Well, here's the
underground
thing.
base. Like
Oh, the underground.
thing,
That
Yeah.
first
yeah,
part.
yeah. Well, the thing too is that they don't actually. It sounds like they pushed him out the window in that other chapter because he's not supposed to be alive. But that does not confirm his death because we
Yeah.
see Biggs is still alive.
you see that
Yeah.
Biggs is still alive too. So
For
it's
some
like,
odd
did they
reason.
save Biggs? But to this whole point too is like I think that's why there's a bunch of like different timelines going on.
Yeah.
I feel like certain things have to happen. So that's
Well-
why they're like, if Wedge would have died right here, then that probably would have like killed morale for Barrett. Because remember, Barrett's like super happy once he sees that the team is still going.
Yeah.
You know.
No,
But
It's-
then, if you
but
think
then,
with
like-
Wedge being alive, because he did show up at Shinra, if you think about it, for the expanded Avalanche team, so maybe that's the connection that they put for
My
it. That's
thing's
why it kept him alive.
Why would you save him once just to kill him 2 chapters after? You know what I mean? Like, my thing is like at that point you should have just left him dead because he didn't really.
Well, the
do
thing is, he's-
Anything
like-
aside
thing
from
is-
Melissa.
the
He
thing
even
is-
says it too. He's like, "Tell me I did something, Cloud."
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, it doesn't confirm that they saved him the first time.
Yeah.
You know, because he was off trying to save everybody else and his cats. And
But
it's
he
just-
gets
might
he
have
gets
just gotten-
back up at some point. He's like walking around. So like he was saved. Like you remember, like he was good to go.
No, I'm just saying that there's no evidence to show that the Whisper saved them. That's what I
Oh,
mean.
that's true too. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
no. That's what I was thinking too. Is like that's my like controversial
That's
thing.
just
you know?
that's just one of
That's
those
my
things.
theory. Where I
that's-
feel like they swooped him up before like anything. Just
yeah, I
because.
know that. I know that's your theory, but I'm saying like it's possible they didn't save him, and so the fact that he showed up at Shinra is like, okay, we got to kill this guy off because this is not supposed to happen right now, and that's what the Whispers are doing. They're trying to keep to that original timeline stuff.
That's true too. You know, and they push him out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But then again, you don't confirm his death when they push him out either. Although you
'Cause-
should technically
Because
because
it
of where
blacks out
it
and
is.
you hear a window crash.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hear
So
the
is
window
it-
crash and it's like,
Yeah,
And then too is like when you see Biggs at the end, I was just like, wait, what the? How are you
and,
alive?
yeah,
Because
You know,
he
yeah.
was also right
and
on that, too.
Nomura actually one of the interviews. It's funny because one of his answers is, there's a character that's still alive, and it's a big mystery, and everybody. I mean, who do you assume when he says that?
Well, the only one that's a mystery is Jesse, really, because like you don't know what happened.
No,
to
the
her.
one who's alive.
Like,
when
one
when
who's
he,
alive?
he references someone is still alive, and it's a big mystery. Who are you thinking?
Oh, like overall in the whole
Yeah.
game. Well, I think when he said that, probably Zach.
Yeah. So everyone assumes
Zach.
that.
No, yeah.
I think he means Biggs. Because I think he phrases it that way because people want to think Zach. Mm-hmm. When it's actually Biggs.
Because
that
the
he's talking
flashback
about.
doesn't really
Okay.
say
Exactly.
much either. And then
Yeah.
Biggs should have already been dead, but
Yeah.
somehow at the ending,
And the thing
WTF.
about the thing about that too is who brought him to the Leaf House?
That's what I'm saying. He's at Leaf House.
Yeah.
Yeah. But-
And I think they were trying to show or reference somebody because they showed like gloves and stuff.
So that's
on
what I'll
the
say. I
ground.
talked
Yeah.
to one of my coworkers,
Uh-huh.
and he's just like, "No, it's Jesse. It's because it's like there's gloves and a headband on the freaking on the dresser."
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, "But Biggs wears a headband."
Yeah.
And he's got the freaking bandages around. So why? I was like, I assumed it was just his stuff that they
It's
left
his-
on the side. Like,
But the thing is,
like he was gonna wake up, grab the
But-
headband, throw
Yeah,
it on. Like,
yeah,
no.
but but yeah.
So that's
But-
why I was just like, would you put the bandages around the headband? Like leave the headband on because that's just his thing, or like, you know?
yeah, he was bandage head. So that'd
But
be
the
covered.
gloves, I feel
Yeah,
like
but then the
was
gloves is
referencing
the gray
somebody.
area.
Yeah.
To where I was just like, all right, well, who like helped him get back? You
Because
know?
someone had to have known to bring him to Leaf House.
Mm-hmm.
because he, they reference
he
the fact
always
that he
reference
that he actually helped take care of the orphanage. So it's like, well, who brought you here? Someone had to have known to bring you here because they know you here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
So
Yeah, it makes you question like the connection, because I mean, the orphanage is an orphanage. The only one who's really seen the orphanage is either, or been out of there, if you think about it, is Cloud and Aerith. And then with the chance of, the teacher. But not like the teacher
what about
could
the angel
really
of
be.
the slums? No, I'm just kidding.
Which that's actually
Mariette,
possibly.
yeah,
That's a
because she
possibility.
knows. Doesn't she say she knows everything that's going on?
Yeah.
Like,
so she is also a possibility, if you think
right?
about it.
It's like, it is very interesting.
but I feel like they were trying to go for a more major character.
Yeah, right.
It's like,
what if
Jesse
it was
is the
Zack?
one that, yeah, and that's the thing too. That's the thing too. I was just
what
gonna
if
say,
it was Zack?
But I was gonna say too, when Nomura said that, he actually could have been referencing both.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like it could have been both Zack and Biggs.
That's a good possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So, and now, I was actually gonna say that it could have been Zack.
Because I mean, the flashback doesn't really show. Like, it seems like a flashback, but also at the same time not.
Yeah, because who could get somebody off a burning freaking pillar like that? A
Yeah.
first class soldier, like
True.
He's easy, Like
I
he
mean,
goes up
even
and
when
just
they're
grabs
still
both of
battling
them
on
and just-
top, there's still a lot of time where someone can get Biggs before the actual plate falls.
Hey,
Right?
Roche.
Yeah, Roche.
He disappeared in the freaking game.
We're back to Roche.
Oh man.
Back to that's true.
Hey, dude, let's go
I mean,
back to
Roche,
the Zack
would you
and
really
Roche
grab-
theory. So it's actually Zack and Roche.
I wish I could make that joke at work. Be like, oh, it was just Roche. No one would
Like,
get it.
but Roche would really grab him? That would be a
Well,
very
technically,
interesting
because Roche has encountered Biggs.
He just
That's
rode
true,
his
'cause
bike
on
up the
the-
f***ing stairs.
Yeah. Yeah, he very much could have. Yeah.
One wheel with the sword out.
For
I bet no one
characters-
thought of that.
No, not until now. Now that you mentioned Roche, because he disappeared after that second fight, he's not. He's considering Cloud as a rival rather than anything else,
right.
than an enemy. So
Yeah.
I feel like biggest possibility, Zack and then Roche.
that would be
Could have been
interesting.
Jesse. Could have
See,
been Jesse. Because
but
the thing is,
Jessie passed out because she was hella. She said like her
Yeah, but
the
this-
explosion destroyed her basically
But she could have woken up while you're on the top. You know what I mean?
and carry Biggs down.
Yeah.
Like,
Possibly. Again, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
where the hell she be? Wouldn't she be? I don't know.
Well, if that's her glove and stuff on the counter, she might be wandering off around somewhere. but-
Probably.
I mean, I don't actually believe it.
But she
it's
felt
possible.
like she had the most damage.
I felt like she was
Yeah.
more hurt than Biggs was.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
you remember,
Yeah,
like
so
she
for
was
her
like
to
she had,
bring
she had the freaking on top of her.
Yeah.
Like all the rocks.
And down top of that, she was working with grenades.
Yeah.
And not only that, the Whisperers was pushing Cloud and Tifa away from her. After. Right?
Yeah. So that's another good point too, as well as I feel like maybe the Whispers didn't necessarily save Biggs, but they're doing things in order to make sure things happen at the right time. So
Yeah.
like maybe Wedge wasn't supposed to. Or, I'm sorry, we didn't see them save Biggs or Wedge, but maybe Wedge wasn't supposed to die right there, but he was supposed to die after he gets pushed out the window.
Yeah.
And like certain things like that.
Oh, yeah,
where it's
they
just like,
definitely do stuff
Jesse,
like
that. Yeah.
Jesse was supposed to die right there, and that's why they're like, don't interfere whatsoever. Like we're kind of trying to keep this.
Well,
keep this going,
they implied that the Whispers, because it looks like Jesse probably could have taken the helicopter, and it seems like they implied the Whispers had done something so that she got caught in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they showed the Whisper kind of surrounding her while she was pulling out that grenade.
Yeah, right. Doesn't the
Yeah.
chopper come down on her, right?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Or it hits that part of that section with her there.
Yeah, no, it's like stuff like that. You see them, you're just like,
Speaking of the Whispers, do you guys think they're gone?
no.
No.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's funny.
Right? Yeah.
It's funny that this is unanimous here because a lot of people I've seen talk about it say that, oh yeah, no, the Whispers are gone. It seems like they quote unquote imply that, and I'm just like,
No.
I don't think so. I can see why you think so, but here are some points. Well, before I go into what my points are, what were you gonna say?
Well, I feel like it's because like to our points is they come in pivotal points in the story, like things where it's like they're pivotal staples of like it seems like they're focusing on like as far as these next parts in the games, they're gonna focus on different scenarios. Like this part was like Midgard, the plate collapsing, like the whole getting everything set up with like the world and stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like they disappeared because it's almost like mission accomplished. Like this set of like events have been completed the way we need them to. And then once the second, part comes out, and we start getting some more nitty-gritty stuff, the Whispers are going to come back, Because, of course, like, if they're going to do this multiple timeline thing, just a theory, there's got to be something that kind of links them together, kind of like a needle that threads them together,
Yeah.
Yeah, the
And I
Whispers
feel like
are part
the
of
Whispers
timeline.
are the,
I mean,
thing that kind of ties them together. You
and
know?
it seems like it sounds like they were created by the live stream of the planet.
You know.
Yeah, even though they seem all dark and gloomy, I feel like they always felt like they were gonna either kill someone or not. I mean, they saved Barrett.
Yeah,
that was another WTF moment.
They had a Dementor.
I was like, I don't remember that happening.
Well, obviously, because the Whispers aren't even in the original story. But yeah, he wasn't supposed to die there. That's what they were saying.
That's when I saw that, I was just like, oh, Barrett's not dying. That was one moment I was like, I'm not even gonna feel sad right now.
No, it just threw me off because you were so focused and watching.
Well, the thing is, that's a WTF moment for people who played the original, but anyone who's new to the game is like, oh no, it's Barrett dying.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, it's true.
But the thing is, when you beat them at the end, the Whisper Harbinger, I think is what it's called. It seems like they all disappear, and they even show that whole the light, like shining and raindrops, sunshine.
Oh,
on
like
a cloudy
day. Main Street.
Kind of like everything got purged out.
Yeah. And that's why a few people are just like, yeah, no, because now you're into the unknown future. Now that you've gotten rid of the Whispers, anything could happen. And that's why people are feeling Whispers aren't coming back.
Is it wishful though? Like knowing the story, like I feel like it's not going to be like sunshine and rainbows after this. Like it's only going to get like more difficult. So like, why wouldn't the Whispers come back?
Yeah, and if you think about it, because as much as everyone was experiencing Whispers, I mean, Sephiroth was also pretty much not really controlling them,
but he was pioneering the like trying to change.
Yeah. And see, that's actually my argument that I don't think the Whispers are completely gone. Because, for one, Sephiroth, he was more or less defying it.
Yeah, he's stirring the pot,
Yeah, and a lot of people are saying, what's about Sephiroth? What was they saying? I'm trying to remember what's...
They say if you say his name 3 times, he comes to life.
Well, apparently someone already said his name 3 times because he already came to life. But someone probably said his name 60 times by now. Well, they were saying, oh, anything could happen, and but I was saying that, if they were completely gone, why is Sephiroth still trying to defy fate? Why is he asking Cloud to join him in defying fate? Because technically speaking, they're trying to keep fate the same. Sephiroth, by helping to defy fate, is technically hoping his plan will succeed this time, whereas before, because he obviously failed in the original, even though he does keep coming back, like with Kadaj and all that nonsense.
Right?
And another reason is because they show that Rufus sees the Whispers, but not Sung. And it's like, what is the significance of that if the Whispers are completely gone? Why would they show you that Rufus can see the Whispers and Sung can't? Like, there has to be something there. So it's that can't be the end of the Whispers.
Yeah.
No, that's true too.
And it makes you wonder too. It's like, how come Rufus can see them?
Yeah, it's like, When we're talking about defying fate, like that could be loosely interpreted so many different ways.
Yeah.
That's what's so good about the writing and the dialogue that I realize is like they're leaving it so open for all these different things to happen.
And there's a lot of
like
things...
even the relationships that they have, like even like Cloud and Sephiroth, Like at first I was kind of just like, this is a little funky the way they're like interpreting this, but once you get towards the end, you kind of see how everything's tied together. It's just like you see all the little Easter eggs he's dropping.
Yeah.
And if you actually read through these interviews, they were very aware of a lot of the things that people would react to. They actually said they wanted people to theorize what would happen next. When they ended the game with the unknown journey will continue, they were just like, we know fans that will be like feel uneasy because of this, because maybe the story might change. They saw that coming going into it. So it's like they planned this out very, very well, to the point where I think they already know that fans are like, oh, they're gonna change the story, and then they're just like, nope, we're messing with you. We're only kind of changing slight parts of it, but it might just be worse.
Right?
No, Zack died by getting killed by all these soldiers, but we're gonna make it worse because we're gonna make you kill him as Cloud.
Yeah, right. Yeah, for real. Yeah.
I mean, so many possibilities, but I feel like people are jumping the gun, saying like, oh, Zack's alive, and they're totally gonna change the story, and you're gonna be able to save Aerith.
I mean, you already see partial changes to the thing, but then again, it ties into its original. What it seems like. Yeah. At one point, they'll just change the direction, but it's still the same.
Yeah, the core story will most likely be the same. They said that they were taking into account the compilation, too. So the biggest mystery to me is Stamp, because they very clearly show that piece of foliage that pans to the camera after Zack with Stamp on it, the dog.
Yeah, of course.
And,
it just goes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder what is the significance of Stamp, because Tetsuya Nomura actually was the one who designed Stamp, and he says that there is a significance to Stamp, but it makes you wonder what. Like,
you see, that was my main thing too. When I saw that, I was just like,
like, what does that mean?
But even too, like with the with the conversation with Barrett, like in that scene in chapter 14, like when he's talking about like one of the Avalanche members. Remember, he goes in depth into it too, where he's just like,
the one. That's what I was
he's just like
wondering.
this guy. He's just like makes poor choices, but beautiful artist, really smart person, like this and that. And he spends like a good amount of time talking about him too.
Yeah.
Where he's just like, the dogs are like, Stamp. He's just like, all of them, because of him. I was just like,
Yeah. I was gonna reference that point too. Yeah, that Barrett talks about the artist that draws Stamp. I forgot his name already.
Yeah, I forgot his name too.
Apparently he flirts with a lot of women.
He's the guy
he was not successful with Tifa.
Yeah, he has a move where he pulls out flowers behind his back.
Exactly.
There you go. Yeah. But yeah, it is true. I saw that, and that was one of those question marks I had too. Where I was just like, "Why are you showing us the dog?" But so quick, but for a specific reason, because this is a really important scene too.
Yeah.
And like knowing the writers and like the developers, I know they weren't just like, let's just have this random thing fly by and just stop for a second.
Yeah. And they even talk about in the interview. Well, damn it. They say that. Crap, I can't remember. You guys discussed for a minute while I try to remember.
Come on, Trade Hold.
Trade Hold's having a blank.
Yeah. They had mentioned... they had mentioned whether they wanted that fight with Sephiroth to happen at the end. Because I know some people are also complaining about overexposure of Sephiroth. Like, he's supposed to be this mysterious being that you don't learn too much about. And you actually do see him. A lot.
Yeah.
And it kind of ruins that mystery. And they had talked about how they were very back and forth with whether you would fight Sephiroth at the end, and decided at the end that they would do it. And it just goes back, it just harkens back to the point that they put a lot of thought into how much they figured the fan base was going to react to everything. And so it gets to that point where it's like, I kind of trust it now. I kind of trust what they're going to do because they put a lot of thought into it. And so much so that who knows when the next one will come out,
Yeah, right? That's what I was thinking too. I'm just like, oh man.
2023.
It seemed like there was a lot of thought put into this one. Just to the same point where I feel like if the second one came out and it wasn't nearly as fleshed out, or there wasn't nearly as much love into it, you could totally see it right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would see it right away. You're like, oh, you guys rushed this one, huh? Yeah, because I've seen it before with some sequels.
That's why they're probably debating if they're going to do a smaller section to the larger section that you brought up earlier. Probably. I mean, if they do smaller sections, I'm like, will they put enough thought process into it like they did now?
Yeah, Because I'd be more so a fan if they just gave me the next game with just a nice, fleshed out story, really big, again, like good 18 chapters. Just, just so I can go through plenty of content to play through.
We've all played the original. So what do you think about these story changes that they've shown so far? I know we kind of already been talking about it, but just more asking directly now.
I feel like there is nothing too much that would upset me or being like, oh, these guys are just reimagining the game now.
Yeah.
I felt like a lot of the changes were not necessarily necessary, but they were okay changes. They were good changes.
Yeah.
If anything, they gave more depth to the actual story itself and kind of elaborated on more stuff. Like we were talking about, the reactor actually getting blown up by Shinra and stuff like that. It gives more room for
just
stuff like that for more more storytelling.
Yeah. More depth.
Yeah, more depth of it, because I mean, like what we said before, you play the original, they already had a lot of holes. So expanding it this way is a good way of telling it. And then there's also a reason why it says remake. It's not, a remastered.
Yeah.
It's a remake. They're remaking the game to fill in whatever missing holes that they
And that's another good point, by the way. In the interview, they said there was 2 meanings of the remake. And they weren't going to discuss the second meaning of it yet. But, one of it was, it's rebuilding everything from the ground up.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, the second meaning that they mean is that the story is being remade, right?
Yep.
And so everyone has assumed that this was just going to be new battle system, updated graphics, exact same story.
Which is, that I felt like if they did it that way, it wouldn't be fun.
Yeah,
as it is now.
And
Yeah, that's true.
and honestly, these changes aren't so bad
Yeah.
at all, and they acknowledge that the original exists. So, and they're actually saying go back and play the original, because they said that newer fans, they don't want this to be the replacement of Final Fantasy VII. You should go back and play the original, which at the same time almost implies that they are gonna change some things. So you can't, and they already have,
Yeah.
and there are already surprises.
Yeah.
And,
Like Biggs.
yeah.
And Wedge.
And Zack, and Roche, and Roche,
And Roche.
the biggest mystery of all, the one who saved Biggs and is Zack.
That's what it's gonna be my joke for the week. Be like, what happened? Oh, it was Roche.
Yeah, Roche did everything.
And no one's gonna get it. They're
And,
like, what?
yeah.
And
And,
guy on the bike with the sword. Oh,
Yeah,
forget
yeah.
about
Oh, yeah. And who is the, he's the split personality of Zack. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I've made, and this I've had so many different jokes that have come up because, you guys know the song "Hollow" that plays at the end.
Yeah.
There's so many argument about who that song's referring to and from whose perspective, and they're just like, no, it's about Cloud and Tifa, or no, it's about Cloud and Zack, and no, it's Cloud and Aerith. Most people actually agree with this one is Cloud and Aerith, but some people say no, it's Zack and Aerith, or it's Cloud and Zack, and I was just like, you can spin it any way you want. If you analyze most of the lines, it is Cloud and Aerith, but I'm like, to prove my point, this song is totally about Hojo. because he'll never let you go, because he keeps you in that drum. and it's hollow because drums are hollow. I'm like, to prove your point here, I can spin this song about any character.
It was written about Hojo.
It was written about Hojo.
And what he's about to do to you.
I mean, for all you know,
Oh
it could
man,
be Rufus
I'm
too.
done.
Yeah.
Like all these things happens, you wouldn't know. I mean, there's no point in arguing about it when it doesn't really say.
Freaking Hojo. Oh man.
Oh God, what do I really say about it?
See, yeah. Overall,
This
though,
time
saying
I'll
it-
never let you go. He doesn't want you to leave. You're here to experiment forever.
You're here to stay.
I mean, his whole little his labs is a whole drum.
Yeah.
If you consider it.
Oh man.
And which is hollow.
which is hollow. Oh man.
That song is about Hojo, guys.
I'll stand behind that. Yeah.
I totally can agree with you.
Oh man. But that being said, over 2 hours worth of talking about this game.
In all honesty, I expected it. I was just like, I know we're gonna talk about probably close to 2 hours, if not more.
I'll
We
just say though,
covered quite a lot.
I think it's a testament to how good the game was.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Especially like all the stuff we're saying, all these different points, how much controversy you're bringing up. Aerith still sucks. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, right.
I have some people say things. I've also had a friend, friends who are saying is like, I still prefer the original. I'm like, well, this is a remake.
Yeah.
How many times you would expect a few changes, but it will still follow through. It was like, I still don't like this person.
I do like that they acknowledge the original, because they're saying that the original does exist, and that if you want the original story, play the original.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can see that they're sending that message in this game, and I'm just like, that's fine, that's fair. That's Zack fair. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's Zack fair.
More
It's
or
terrible.
That's Zack fair is Roche.
Zack Roche fair.
Overall, everything, still love it.
Overall,
Yeah.
I'd say great game. I
Yeah.
really liked it.
I
That's a
totally love
testament
the
to
game.
that I'm able to go back and actually get through like a lot of the small nitty gritty stuff that's very tedious, and I'm still enjoying the game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still playing with it.
Same.
Again, I'm still. I mean, I've already gone through the game kind of 3 times, because I did the no side quest stuff to get 3 of the dresses, but I also did some of the side quest stuff afterwards in like chapter 14, and to get some of the other stuff that I was missing, and I was like, I didn't mind it, and I went through hard mode.
Yeah.
And now I made a save where I can actually go back and play on normal and OP the crap out of everything to release my frustration of
that
hard
sounds
mode. By the way, I found out because when you go through hard mode and you get all the manuscripts, you can actually max out every single weapon.
Nice.
That all those little mods that you can do, you can unlock every single one of them for all weapons.
Nice.
And I actually found out the Buster Sword is better than the Twin Stagger. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Or
Twin
the Twin Stinger?
Twin Stinger.
Yeah.
The stat wise, the balance is actually better. Except it doesn't have reprieve. You probably don't know what reprieve is, but it basically lets you stay alive with 1 HP when you're supposed to die.
Oh, okay, no, I know.
And
yeah,
accept instant death attacks.
Yeah.
But so the Buster Sword does not
Like
have
Tom
that.
Berry.
But
Like
it's
Tom
still.
Berry. Fuck Tom Berry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse my language, yeah.
But, it's,
Tom Berry.
Little green mofo. Yeah.
but
He's
balance
like the
wise,
most hated character. So it's so cute.
Yeah, right? Yeah, that's what pisses me
that
off.
bastard.
Yeah, bastard, yeah.
But it's
Iconic Final Fantasy character.
balance. Its balance is it has a balance stats just like the Twin Stinger does because the magic and physical attacks the same for the Twin Stinger, but the Buster Sword's stats are higher, and it also has defensive stats. The only thing is that it doesn't have reprieve, and it doesn't lean one way or the other. Like for instance, Hard Edge is more physical attack,
Yeah.
so it actually does have a high physical attack than Buster Sword, if you fully upgrade it. But by balance wise, Buster Sword is actually better than the Twin Stinger.
I myself have found the Buster Sword was my go-to, just overall balance.
Yeah,
You know, like I was just like, you know what, this one just its stats are just overall just.
yeah, and so
I used the Buster Sword for more than half of the game.
I used the Hard Edge for a while, and I realized the Buster Sword was better.
Yeah.
I actually used the Hard Edge for a good portion of the game for normal after I got it because it's like the nail bat.
I was like,
Yeah,
what's
right.
the point of this nail
It
pad?
gives you a bunch of HP though.
And it gives you a
You
bunch
know?
of crits.
Yeah, and it gives you a bunch of crit, chance. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, if you get that thing going, yeah, you could you got to put it in with disorder, and like, what else is another good ability with it? Like even like triple slash.
Well, it actually comes with disorder. That's where
Or is
you
that the
learn
one it comes
from.
with? Yeah. So yeah, you got to put disorder on there, and then yeah, if you have refocus on and you got the nail bat going, oh man, yeah, you start smacking.
Refocus is awesome, by the way.
Refocus is pretty fun.
Yeah.
Refocus is good.
Um,
I use
and
that all the time.
I talked to one of my friends about it, and he's like, "Well, I'd rather would just use a DPS limit break than the refocus." And I'm just like, "Well, I mean, you can put it on Aerith, and that will help you out because building her ATB and how much she does with healing, and she's actually the one who comes with refocus,
Yeah.
the materia. So I'm just like, if you put refocus on her, that might help you out a bit. If you are not good at using Aerith."
Hey, or
Hey, don't
if you have
stare at
problem
me.
getting her ATB up.
Yeah. It's okay.
It's okay. I'm so used to Barrett, Tifa, Cloud, and
We're-
that's still my best combination.
just messing with Field Destroy. We know she's a pro.
Poking fun.
She went through 10 chapters on hard mode in 2 nights. So
That's
she's a pro.
bullshit.
She's a total pro. She has. I'm sorry. How many hours do you have now on total of the game? 87, 86?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Damn.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Well, that's
86, 87, right?
spending
I
5
beat
hours trying to
I
beat
beat hard
what's his
mode
face.
at 107 hours. The pace she's going, she's gonna be hard mode at
I was like, I wonder-
92 or
I
something.
wonder where I'm gonna be. I'm curious now.
Well, how many hours do you have on it right now?
Right now, I'm at 53.
Okay.
But 3 about, like I said, 3 idle hours,
Yeah.
For me, just, either A, passing out,
Yeah.
because I'm playing late at night, and then I have that
That's
moment
another
where I'm
thing.
just,
You have idle hours because of your kids and your husband. And she's
Okay.
at 87 hours, 10 chapters into hard mode.
So I've fallen asleep, and usually I'll fall asleep, on the menu
I
or
usually
something
pause
like
because
that.
if you're on pause, even when I have my kids, I hit pause. It still stops your time.
Yeah, you see, I'll be, in the menu and go through to a
She's
fight, or...
so modest.
You know
Shut
what it
up.
is? It's running through those freaking corridors. You know what I mean? Going from point A to point B, and
Oh,
you're
yeah.
squeezing through something, and I'll just
That's
fall
what I
asleep.
told you, slow moments.
Yeah, and then
That's the thing that annoyed me.
and the thing is, my PlayStation will turn off after an hour. So I know at some point I'll wake up, my PlayStation's off. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I've been out for a while. Might as well just call it a night. Yeah, down.
Oh,
and then
did you
that's
save?
That's only happened maybe 2 or 3 times. 2 or 3 times. So maybe 2-3 hours idle max. But for the most part, it's just me just grinding. Getting in there.
That reminds me, I was going to bring something else up. I just don't remember now.
I'm about to start hard mode soon too, either tonight or probably tomorrow morning. And then it's probably gonna take me another 50 plus hours, if anything. Or
No,
or because you can run through it. Never mind.
Well,
yeah, and you can skip your scenes.
This
in
is
my
me doing all the side quests, doing all like the opening every chest.
Oh yeah, well, I mean,
backtracking through everything.
Same with
that's
everybody else. I think they go through hard mode the same way because if you want to get all the manuscripts, you still have to do most of the side quests.
Yeah.
And it's actually another reason, another testament to how much they thought they put into this game, because in chapter 8, you can still get all the manuscripts by doing a maximum of 5 side quests out of 6. There's only really one that you can skip and still get that second dress from Aerith. And it's like they expected you to do all the side quests on your first playthrough, so it's like, you have to do between 3 and 5 by the end. Let's make sure here's the maximum. You can do these 5 and still get all the manuscripts and the dress, and just ignore this one.
Yeah, right. So it's just not annoying where it's just like they're forcing you to do this unnecessary quest,
yeah. And so
it's
I feel like
you can get your stuff and just keep it going, right?
Yeah. So I feel like they actually really planned that out well. Where it's just like, okay, we expected that you probably got this dress on your first playthrough, and if you're on hard mode and you try to get another dress, you can still finish most of these side quests, get the manuscripts.
Can I get my last 3 dresses without hard mode? Or do I have to?
No, you don't have to be in hard mode. It's just more efficient that way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of knock everything out.
Yeah.
That's how it is. Knocked the remainder that I.
That's all I have left. It's just those dresses, man.
And side quests.
It's just those dresses and then the simulator stuff. Like, what's it called?
Oh, did you already do the side quests?
What's up?
You already finished all the side quests?
I did everything, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's like literally, I only have to literally go through and fight freaking the prototype. Was it Pride and Joy, and then the monster right before it. What's it called? Marlboro. And then
you have to learn the enemy skill too.
His enemy skill exactly. So once I fight him, I get his bad breath skill or whatever. I'll get all ability.
Make sure to put cleansing on somebody that's not whoever has enemy skill on, so you can cure that right away.
Yeah, I'll have not all the intel. I have what's called all enemy skills. Pretty much that'll be the trophy for that, and then I'll get the Marlboro trophy, and then I'll get the Pride and Joy trophy. And then pretty much straight into
everything.
Because last night I was grinding so I can get to 50, so I got 50 for
You don't even need to grind to 50. You would have gotten it super quick.
Yeah.
But still.
I got to level 50 super fast just doing the rest of the simulators.
Yeah, but you're a pro.
Yeah, right. You see, my whole thing is like when
I have my constant deaths with Bahamut. So
I'm the kind of person same too. Is just like I'll farm just because I don't like going into a fight feeling under leveled. Even if it's unnecessary, I'd rather go in way.
Well, I was gonna
OP,
say what I was gonna say is that if you were doing all the combat sim stuff, you barely need to grind to get to 50.
Okay.
the simulators will get you to level 50 right away
because you got that double experience going on already.
Oh yeah.
Which I mean, I'm gonna put this out there too, but you actually don't need to start hard mode to get those double EXP. And
and then was it triple for the AB or AP, right?
Yeah. So that actually starts as soon as you unlock chapter select. A lot of people still don't know that.
No, I found that quick, and I was just like, I'm knocking out my last few materia. Just get those maxed out so that because that's the one thing that hit me out of nowhere. I was like, crap, I haven't been maxing out all my material. Like I only have like 4 of 12. Like damn it! But luckily enough, I had a few of them that were like
for the intel, huh?
Yeah, for the intel,
Everyone always has very little progress when they get to that one. When I got to that one, it was still 10 out of 12. But the revival was still so far away.
Dude, the revival one's like 3,000.
5,000.
5,000?
It's 5,000.
I think I had when I was saying with my material, I only had like 4 or 5 left.
Yeah, you said you had 4 left, so you had 8 already. Yeah. My friend only had 4 out of 12.
I had 4 out of 12 too, yeah.
Yeah, so like, I used the crap out of material.
So I had 4 out of 12 only because I was switching so much materia.
Oh, yeah.
So like I had a bunch that were at 2-star, but not quite 3-star yet.
Oh.
And then like I had the ones I had 4 that were at 3-star, so then pretty much I just had to go through and just clean up like the last few of them. Because after certain fights, I'd be like, I don't need this materia anymore.
I played through most of the game, normal and hard mode. I already mentioned it. That maxing material before I switched them out. Most of the time, I didn't always need them. I was just leveling them up. So that's why I'm like this final playthrough that I'm gonna eventually get to, where I'm gonna play on normal after everything I've maxed out everything and got maxed out my weapons and everything. It's just gonna be okay. Now I'm gonna actually optimal set up my materials.
Yeah, no, I felt like I got to some point like that too, where I was just using stuff to level it up. Like towards the end, once I realized I had to level the materia up. So like more towards the end, it wasn't until I think I fought like right before Arsenal. Like again, I forget its freaking name, monster with the tentacles that pop out of the ground. It was like the freaking was that the Harbinger? Genova or no?
Wait, what are you talking about?
No, so with the fight at the very end in chapter 17, where it's like the tentacles pop out of the ground.
Oh yeah, no, that's Genova. Dreamweaver.
Dreamweaver, yeah. It's like that fight and stuff, just like, oh man. It's like...
Yeah.
No good.
Again, there's something I was going to bring up when we were talking about refocused material, and I just can't
You know what?
remember.
I just lost my train of thought, too. It just kind of got swooped up.
Because we talked so much about a lot of things already. It's just more of like, what's left?
Yeah, right. What is left?
What is left aside from absolutely loving the game?
I know, right?
Say
that's
But
what.
like, I really cannot. Do I really have to wait a few more years until the next one?
You're right.
How long do you guys think it'll be till the next one?
I'll give it 2 years.
I actually say the same, 2 years.
About 2 to 3.
I'd say 2 solid. I feel like
Okay,
if they do
2020?
3, people are gonna get too angsty.
Yeah, I think 2 solid as well. That's another thing too. I think they actually might make more playable characters than an original.
See, one thing I forgot to bring up too is like what made me kind of sad, but who was really freaking cool was Red 13. You know, like I really wish we could have played as him at least for a little bit at the end.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
just for like that last chapter. You know what I mean? Just give us a taste. You know, like
Yeah.
just see what he can do. Like you
But at
know,
some
it's
point,
just
'cause
like,
we're only that last chapter.
the way that they showed him off though. They already were trying to tease him for what he can do, because you see he actually was casting like Stardust and everything.
yeah, no, he was doing like hella. So I'm like, I
Yeah.
want to play as Red 13.
Yeah.
And he actually looked really cool too. Like when you first see him, I was like, oh man, yeah, and like full HD and everything. So that's pretty cool.
So I do think they might make, because I know. Let's see, we're gonna have Vincent, Yuffie, and Kate Sith.
See, another thing too is like, did you see Kate Sith like when the plate
Plate
fell?
dropped, yeah.
And he's just like, ah.
It's like, no!
That
Too
was
late.
Reeve Twitsy.
Quick tweezer.
But I feel like they might make more playable characters. Maybe not be part of your party, but I think they are gonna make more playable characters. I actually feel like they may make Zack playable.
Through a
They-
flashback?
Yeah,
type?
through a flashback or for
Yeah.
whatever other things that might
If
happen.
he is alive.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not too difficult to make Zack playable because he probably will play like Cloud
Yeah,
with
Yeah.
a few
true.
differences.
They'll just
maybe
use
some
Cloud's
Yeah.
items and
His-
level at the time.
or they'll. I mean, they'll just make him model after Cloud with the different. I mean, basically the model for Zack is Cloud. And they
Yeah.
might throw in some abilities
They'll throw in a
that
bike
would be a
race.
throwback to Crisis Core.
Oh, that.
Yeah. But other than that, for the most part, it's not going to be hard for them to make Zack playable.
Yeah, right.
And I feel like they will do that as part of expanding and taking into consideration the compilation that has come out for Final Fantasy VII.
We can see his slow transformation to Roche.
Totally. Yep. Exactly.
No, that'd be really cool though, being able to play with Zack for a little bit.
And then Hojo sing Hollow to Zack. That's actually part of the. That's what his song was about. It's actually about Zack.
To one of his
He's like,
abominations,
man, Zack got away. This time I'll never let him go.
right?
Zack was my one pride of creating these experiments.
Just.
He was the perfect Sephiroth clone.
Oh, man.
Oh man. So
It's all coming together, guys. We got
I
this
think it'll
figured
be
out.
super
We
delayed
got it.
because of the COVID-19. I feel like it probably will not reach 2 years because of COVID.
I guess I suppose that could be an issue.
that could be an issue, yeah.
Because right now, there's people are still in lockdown or doing a secondary lockdown, including
But-
in Japan.
I feel like communications would be a little tougher to do when it comes to that because of social distancing. But I can see them being able to do that even with social distancing, even with keeping that, that.
I feel like
people
a lot
apart.
of
Well, I
coders,
mean,
gamers, and stuff
they
like that can
probably
work from
had a
home.
good portion.
They had
thought
our
of,
start
right?
development
Yeah.
of it
Yeah,
last
they
year. Yeah.
So, I mean, good portion set up is just creating everything, and then talking is probably just gonna. Sometimes it's a
Delay it a little
struggle
bit.
if you do it over the internet, is what I feel like.
It's very true. So I know we touched on a lot of good stuff. I feel like about this point, we start wrapping it up. So
We should,
So
but-
last closing thoughts. Field Destroy. What do you got?
Do we really have to stop?
Yeah, do we really have to stop?
It was like, do
It's-
we? And then
Well, you
the
have no
game
choice because the
I know.
game's the next
It was
game's
like
not
the
out.
demo.
I know, right? It's like, I'm just sad that the game is done now. Like, me being able to replay it every couple of times is just like, it just gives me that inkling. Like, I just want to. I don't even know what to say anymore.
Yeah, right. It's like,
I mean, because like I
don't
just
even
want.
know what to say.
I don't even know what to say anymore. I just love the game. I wish I can play more. I wish there was more, and I have to wait another couple of years for the next
Well,
one.
you know what? Since we all had different opinions on the next one, how far do you think the next one will go? Because if you're saying 3 parts, you have to have an idea of where the next one will go. Will Aerith even die in the next one? Let's say if you're
Yeah.
contouring to the next.
That's
to the
about what I
story.
was thinking. I was thinking Earth dies, meteor starts falling, stuff like that. You know, roughly around that area. Because they even, like, I remember they hinted at the meteor, like, they kind of flashed to it, and I was just like, yeah! You know?
That's supposed to be the callback, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
What about you, Field Destroy? Next one, what do you think it'll end? What do you think it'll get up to? Do you remember enough of the original story?
That's why I downloaded the FF7. And, like, I remember most of Midgar. I remember most of to the part of where Aerith is dying.
Aerith is dying.
Yeah. Or is dead. Where Aerith died. For everything else...
Are you dead, Aerith?
Like, literally... With everything else in the game, like, I can't even remember, like, if this part was in disc 2 or if this part was, like, in disc 4. So, like, my memory is, like, literally
There's
jumbled.
no disc 4.
Or 3. The reason I said disc 4 is because I think they're going to reach up to disc 4. But I meant, like...
Yeah, she's a pro at games, but her memory sucks.
Yeah, my memory sucks.
She does.
Like, always give a fair warning. My memory sucks unless I'm playing again. It gives me fucked, but then I'll remember.
We were talking about this morning how I had mentioned for the 4th time which bosses were chapter 11, and she was like, "Chapter 11?" I'm just like, "Freaking the haunted chapter."
You're right, the one with the trains.
She's like, "Oh yeah." I'm like, "That's the 4th time I've brought it up to you now. Why do you keep forgetting?" But you know, she'll beat it in like 10 minutes. I'm going back to what I said again with the scope of things.
Some final thoughts.
Cosmo Canyon is where I think it will reach up to. I don't even think it will reach up to Ancient City with Aerith. I think that's gonna be part 3. Because the next part does have a lot to cover, and that doesn't include like anything they might add in. There's Fort Condor. There's
that's true.
There's parts of Gold Saucer. Remember Coral Mountain.
But I'll say no. Yeah, we'll probably get Kate Sith in the second part. You know,
yeah,
Gold Saucer and
you're gonna learn
right?
about dying. Remember dying.
Oh.
And then there's Junin, and then there's Cosmo Canyon. I mean, there's still.
You know, that's a good point. I feel like you'd probably get up to Cosmo Canyon.
Yeah. And I
that's
feel
only
like
if they decide to do two. If they expand it even more, then it won't even reach Cosmo Canyon.
No, I think it can still reach Cosmo Canyon with expansions. In fact, that's why
I feel like you can do good another 50 hours of content and get that far. Mm-hmm. You know?
Right.
Yeah. And I think, Ancient City stuff will be part 3.
You see, I wouldn't agree so much until I saw this one where we say it's like it's not as open as we thought it was going to be. It's mainly just areas connected by hallways.
This joke that they're just like, so after the whole thing that just happened at the end of Midgar, like, how is the Midgar Zolom even a problem?
Yeah,
and I'm just like, well, you know what? I think, remember, originally to get past the Midgar Zolom, you have to go to Calm, and then once you get there, Sephiroth has already pretty much killed it. And I think that's pretty much how it's more gonna be. Like, I think you're gonna go through it, and it's like, oh, the Zolom freaking got messed up by Sephiroth, and maybe you might fight a weakened one that already got messed up, or you might not even fight it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Or it might just be your first boss of part 2.
Like a basic boss, right?
Yeah. Just like, here's your warm-up boss, the freaking Midgar Zolom.
Yeah, right?
And everyone's like, man, we're so tired. We just went through and fought Fate and Sephiroth. It's like, okay, I guess we're gonna lazily fight the Midgar Zolom.
Nice.
Tutorial!
As a tutorial. I like it.
But yeah.
Yeah, what are your final thoughts overall, Tradehold? Your final closing, final closing thoughts.
Fantastic game, like it more than the original so far. Excited for the next game, and let's see what they do. Let's let them confirm that Zack is Roche and that Ojo made the song Hollow for Zack.
And saved Biggs.
Yeah, and that, and Roche saved Biggs.
And, Roche saved Biggs.
And Jesse is alive and is gonna get with Biggs.
Right.
And Zack is gonna, I don't know.
And Hojo's a sweet musician.
Yeah. Again, Hojo is Yosh from Survive Sid the Prophet. Yeah.
Well, there we go. Well, I feel like, coming straight from, where are you? This GameStop's in Walmart. Could you imagine the Walmart at GameStop? If we were just in there and it was all crazy, plate just fell. No one wants to shop here right now.
Oh, that's another thing too. Corneo is still alive.
Oh, no, hey, no, that's another thing too, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He, technically he disappears in the first one, or they reference him, but in this one it's like, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna go and run off and party or whatever he does.
Corneo's a creep.
Yeah,
Because he's running away from Shinra right now, so where else is he gonna go?
You know, but fresh from your Walmart at GameStop, you know, it's about time we close the gate.
Yeah, this has been
keep Corneo out.
Absolutely the longest podcast we recorded, and I pretty much expected as much.
Yeah, right.
Because of
Yeah, say, but it was good times for sure. Say,
Can you imagine if Cash Wrap was here joining in this conversation?
Oh man, yeah, we missed you, Cash Wrap. So for those that you don't know, Cash Wrap still got a status ailment. We still haven't found.
Well, no, he says that he actually hasn't been sick for a while, but because he before this whole lockdown thing, he was in a store where someone tested positive for COVID-19 and he felt sick. So right now he's self-quarantining just to be safe.
He's been silenced.
Yeah.
But
he's alive. We actually just talked to him today by text message.
We just removed him from the party for a little bit.
Showed up for Happy Lemon.
Yep.
Yeah. Exactly. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for listening.
Yeah.
I think it's time to close the gate, right?
Yeah. We've been delaying that close for a while now. We're almost at... No, we're actually not. I thought we were almost at 3 hours, but we're at close to 2.5.
You're right. Yes.
All right. Thank you guys for listening, and until next time.
Bye.
Power to the podcast. We haven't said that in a while.
Power to the podcast.
Aha.